I decided it would be cool to make a program where the code was the codified lyrics to a song, and then the output was the actual lyrics to the song. So much like Walt Disney created Fantasia based on classical music, I've created a special musical number based on the music of Jonathan Coulton.
Code Monkey, get up, get coffee. Code Monkey, go to job. Code Monkey, have boring meeting with boring manager Rob. Rob say Code Monkey very diligent, but his output stink. His code not functional or elegant. What do Code Monkey think? Code Monkey think maybe manager wanna write login page himself. Code Monkey not say it out loud. Code Monkey not crazy, just proud. Code Monkey like Fritos. Code Monkey like Tab and Mountain Dew. Code Monkey very simple man with big warm fuzzy secret heart. Code Monkey like you. Code Monkey like you. Code Monkey hang around at front desk till your sweater look nice. Code Monkey offer buy you soda, bring you cup, bring you ice. You say no thank you for the soda, cause soda make you fat. Anyway, you busy with the telephone, no time for chat. Code Monkey have long walk back to cubicle. He sit down, pretend to work. Code Monkey not thinking so straight. Code Monkey not feeling so great. Code Monkey like Fritos. Code Monkey like Tab and Mountain Dew. Code Monkey very simple man, big warm fuzzy secret heart. Code Monkey like you. Code Monkey like you. A lot. Code Monkey have every reason to get out this place. Code Monkey just keep on working, see your soft pretty face. Much rather wake up, eat a coffee cake, take bath, take nap. This job fulfilling in creative way, such a load of crap. Code Monkey thinks someday he have everything, even pretty girl like you. Code Monkey just waiting for now. Code Monkey says someday, somehow. Code Monkey like Fritos. Code Monkey like Tab and Mountain Dew. Code Monkey very simple man, big warm fuzzy secret heart. Code Monkey like you. Code Monkey like you. Code Monkey, get up, get coffee.
This is actual Object Pascal code and was recorded in real time. You can compile it with Delphi or app method and run it on Windows, OS X, Android, and iOS. The output is the original lyrics to the song. The code will actually work as a console application as well, and so in theory could work on other platforms like Linux, etc. Just in order to make it shared code, I made it a GUI application. I hope you've enjoyed this special musical number, and my thanks to Jonathan Coulton for making and sharing this great song. You can download all my source code for this song on my website at delphi.org/codemonkey. From there you'll find links to download Jonathan Coulton's song as well.
Awesome stuff. Hello, everyone, and welcome once again. Thank you to everyone who's been saying hi. I put the Code Monkey video on at the start because we like it. It's cool. And also, that's Jim McKeith's special take on the Code Monkey thing. He turned the code into lyrics, and he did such a good job of it. I'm not going to ever be able to do better than that. So it's great stuff. Hello from Germany. I've used Delphi since version 1. Me too. I bought it on the day it was released. I'm lucky because now I do the job. to help promote it, obviously, and encourage people to use Delphi. And I remember the very first day I bought it, and it was a great day, February the 15th, I think I actually bought it. But yeah, howdy from the great state of Texas. Yeehaw! I have my hat in the background to prove I am a real Texan. In fact, I have a. If you get a driving license in Texas, I think it's that. I think whenever they change it, they send you a sticker that says "Real Texan," and I've got a few of those. So there you go. I'm a genuine Texan. And thanks to everybody. Today is one of those. Holger used it since version 2. Holger will be with me later so that he can apologize to the world for not starting with Delphi 1. I'm just kidding. He's actually sitting around in the green room there as well. But lots going on. We're live on LinkedIn, Instagram, Meta Live, YouTube, multiple YouTubes, and a few other things as well. So it's pretty crazy stuff. Lots going on. Oh, David, I just sent you an email. Check your email. Because David is obviously the OG of developer relations, and he's always welcome to join. And I've sent him a join link if he wants to join in. He might not. He might be too busy. He's, as he says, he's semi-retired from what he does. But yes, today is. Oh, look, see, he's trumped all of us. I wrote my first Pascal program in 1972 on a CDC cyber time-sharing system. I won't tell David how old I was in 1972, but suffice to say, I'm older than most people think I am, but I'm not quite that old. I was alive in 1972 and competent and able to do math homework and stuff like that, but wasn't able to write Pascal at that time. I'm pretty certain of that. So there you go. Thanks everybody for joining. So what's the agenda today? Well, I don't really have an agenda as such. We've got some guests who will be joining me later, including a video that we're going to be showing that's a sneak peek of something that's coming up. And in fact, I'm being emailed by someone saying they're being sent virus stuff from Marco Cantu. Not from Marco, but someone pretending to be Marco. You know you've hit the big time when people start impersonating you, so that's great. See, now everyone's going to do my dad's bigger than your dad kind of thing and saying, well, Fortran in 1972, Pascal in 1984, and then Turbo Pascal. Missed Delphi 1, but got Delphi 2. I've been a software developer for at least 42 years, I believe, possibly longer. I actually don't count the years when I was learning, but I did get paid to write my first ever program when I was 15 years old, and that was in the 1970s, which dates me a little bit, only just in the 1970s, but even so. So I've seen a lot of development things, and we're going to talk about those later on today, about what's going on. Today is not really a educational webinar. I am going to show some cool stuff. I'm going to show you a Canva design. If you're familiar with Canva, it's a great design application, and a lot of people use Canva or Figma for designs, but I'm going to show you a Canva design which I then turned into a VCL project, and then that same VCL project, I'm going to show you it become a web stencils project. So that's one of the demos I'm going to show today. Like I say, we do have a video coming up as well with a very secret announcement. And Stefan Nyland, who's a very, very talented developer, ex-employee at one point, I believe, although he doesn't big that up, but he is a very smart guy. UCSD Pascal on CPM 1978. Yes, I think my first version of Pascal was probably UCSD as well. University of California in San Diego. Pascal, and it was P code was, I think, the way that it worked. So the compiler compiled to an intermediate language, and then the runtime interpreted that. It was a bit like Visual Basic 3 downwards worked. I don't know whether they got that idea from there, but yes, it was a kind of semi-interpreted language, but it was very good, and you could do a lot of powerful stuff with it. Nigel's sending me a pic of his stuff. hello from Lima and Fortran in 1968. Paul Jackson is now trying to say he wrote his first basic programming at the age of 6 in 1973. Good grief. Well, basic in 1973 was very basic. David I wins. Yes, he does. Yeah, he's look, if you can outrank David I, as he said, this was the first part of what his comment was. At the Delphi launch in San Francisco, developers witnessed and participated in a spontaneous standing ovation for Anders Heisberg before he had even demonstrated the product. And that was Delphi that they're talking about. And as he said, I've never seen a reaction at a technical conference before. No, neither have I. The only time I've ever seen a similar reaction was I was at CeBIT years and years ago. I used to exhibit at CeBIT every year. And British Telecom, because I was British, American British now, but living in England at the time, and British Telecom demonstrated ADSL, which was brand new at the time. It was the first broadband. ISDN was around, and you could pair ISDN with twin ISDN lines and get 128 K I think downloads. But they demonstrated ADSL, and they literally downloaded a file in seconds that up until then we were all taking an hour to download, and everyone erupted into applause. And I absolutely get what he's talking about, because I remember when I saw Delphi in a magazine article, and I'm not sure if I've got I don't think I have it anymore. No, that graphic's been deleted. But I used to have a graphic of it showing you the original advert that made me buy the product. I read this magazine article, and it was describing Delphi and talking about exactly what you could do with Delphi. And at the time, I did Visual Basic and C. I was a C programmer. I'd been a COBOL programmer, not C++, I don't think, but I can program in like 11 or 12 different programming languages and more every year. And I saw the advert for Delphi, and I read through it. I'm like, this thing's like I think. Of course, you should design your screens in a way that's visible. And if you were not around at that time, you cannot understand how groundbreaking it was. Turbo Pascal was amazing already. It was very well respected. Hundreds and thousands, and in fact, maybe millions of people use Turbo Pascal. I still bump into people. I'm sure you're all in the chat room at the moment. A lot of people say, "Oh, I started out using Turbo Pascal," and then a lot of them moved on to Delphi as well. I did use Turbo C, but not Turbo Pascal. I think later on I did for some projects that I had to work on. But my first introduction to that was Turbo C and then Delphi. So yeah, very interesting. Everybody's chiming in about their old languages, and this is the whole point of this webinar today. It's a bit of a tour about the history, but also a description about where we're going with the future and what happens. And I am very, very pleased that you're all in there. And someone saying David I wins. Actually, David says we all win. Yes, we do. And I'm very lucky. I get paid to do this, what I'm doing now. And I go to user group conferences, which I'm going to show you some stuff about in a moment. But, okay. So when something's wrong, I get people to write to me, and I do give out my email address all the time and encourage people to email me. And I really mean it, happy or sad, hopefully happy, but happy or sad. I'm going to just do it now, put up a caption for you. But a lot of people say, "Oh, I don't want to give out my email address because I'll just get spam and all the rest of it." I don't care. If you are happy or if you're unhappy with what we're doing, if you've got a suggestion, then please feel free to email me. it's my job to link you up to other parts of the company, but I don't want you to ever think that Embarcadero is some kind of dark monolith, like 2001: A Space Odyssey, where you've got all those chimpanzees hitting that big lump of black marble. No, you will get an answer from us. There was someone in a Reddit group the other day who was complaining and saying they couldn't log in to get their license, and they were accusing us of demanding money from them. I want to make it clear: if you've got a perpetual license, you should always be able to get your perpetual license. Now, if you don't have a support contract, then we're not going to support you for free. We will recommend that you get a support contract, because if you've got a problem, then we help you. But it is a perpetual license. Is that perpetual? It means what it says. It's forever. But if you've got a subscription, then it's handled differently. But I want you to know that you can email me and you will get a reply. Now, later on today, because today's an extended webinar, I'm going to show you some slides and you'll see my mailbox. And I get a lot of email and I get a lot of messages on the social media. I don't go on all of them. For example, Delphi Praxis is probably one of the most popular ones there. I found that if I go on Delphi Praxis, it actually doesn't help the rest of the community. I know that sounds like a cop-out, but what happens is if I go on and comment, everybody piles on with loads of stuff because, hey, Ian's there. Let's discuss a load of stuff that has got nothing to do with the person who's asking a question. So it's not always, it's a bit counterproductive if I'm just making things worse. But if you ever got something you want to complain about, or tell me something we're doing right you don't want us to stop, like the code formatter, I know we removed it, and lots of people, believe me, lots of people let us know. We know, we do listen, and we do actually respond to you. It's not a gimmick, it's not an act, so it's not. I'm not a salesperson. You could argue what I'm doing is marketing, but actually it's about product awareness and generally just linking with the community. We care. Without you as users, we're nothing. Really, we're nothing. So of course I care, and of course I will respond every single email. There's one person who I think I saw them comment earlier, and I won't call their name out, but one person the other day sent me 30 emails in one day. You know who you are. That was quite a lot. But if that's what floats your boat, then I will respond. Now, eventually, if you send me keep sending me 30, I'm going to say, I think you probably need to go and talk to the support people rather than ask me random questions about stuff. But I'm not going to turn you away. That's what we're here for. Embarcadero are here to listen. We try to get it right. And sometimes we don't get it right. And if we don't get it right, then, tell me as well. But if we are getting it right, also tell me what we did right as well. Now, a couple of things. I'm just going to get an update here because let me set up a QR code. Today, we're kind of celebrating Delphi's 31st birthday. It's actually technically on Saturday, but given that a lot of people would be at home and all the rest of it on Saturday, we decided to do it today. Now, if you go to that QR code there and scan it, you'll get a timeline for it. In fact, I've just noticed someone's given me a landing page for that, but that I'll give you a different link in a moment for that. Otherwise, that's going to try and ask you for details or block you if you've got uBlock Origin or whatever. So that's one thing. What else? Okay, download the innovation timeout. Okay, I see what he's done. All right, so that's one thing. The other thing that we've got as well, which is probably more important, is that, and this is kind of a sales thing, I suppose, is that there's a special offer going on and it's changed today. They've just updated it. You get some free scans from Scan It. If you watched my webinar last week on Friday with Valerie Kim, she was talking about S-bombs. If you don't know what an S-bomb is, go back and watch the videos. Most of the webinars that I do, you'll find that the videos will appear in your Rad Studio IDE on the Learn page. And you can learn all about NSBOM, SCA software composition analysis, why it's important, and some links. Whenever I give you a fact, if I say to you, for example, if you don't have an SBOM by 2027, you're in trouble. I don't just say that, okay? I will back it up with a link that shows you I'm not lying. Because what I don't want to do, I want to be a genuine person to you in terms of my interaction with you. I don't want to like make a number up and then you think, really, 50,000 people have got a t-shirt that says Embarcadero. No, I would back it up in fact. So on the SBOM webinar there are links and there's a blog post as well. If you go to blogs.embarcadero.com, there's a blog post there that will tell you the laws to do with that. So the RAD offer allows you to get some free scans to help that. There's some conditions. I think you have to buy Enterprise or something like that, but I'm not a salesperson. Just go there, go to that link and have a look and see whether it fits into what you want to do. But that's enough for now. Let me just hide that QR code. I see that a couple of people have joined us. What I'll do, let me just kick off with one of my guests. The guest that just joined us recently, you know who you are, you've got your headphones on. Are you okay if I put you on live? Yes, he's giving me the thumbs up. So what I'm going to do is put him on live, and it is our good friend David I. How are you doing, David?
Hello, is my microphone working? Probably.
It's working fine. Yes, we didn't get around to check it. I did say I'd actually put people on later, but if people are going to turn up, I'm not going to turn them away. There is another guest who's in the green room, but I've already spoken to him and said that we would do him a little bit later coming on. There's a couple of others as well that can turn up. For those that don't know you, and they must hide under a rock if they don't know who it is, but it is David Intersimone, or Intersimone. Is that how you pronounce it? I know everybody pronounces it 5 different ways, but we always call it David I.
That's why I went for David I, but I used to say Intersimone, and then when I was a teenager, one of my Italian relatives said, no, it's Intersimone, with accent on the T. And 2 of my adult children are at the Olympics, the Winter Olympics right now as well. So it's
really
kind of fun. Yeah, they're up in northern Italy. They were in Milan for some events, and now they're in Cortina and some of the other venues up in the Dolomite Mountains, I guess they're called.
Yeah, the Dolomite Mountains. Yeah, I think so. I've watched a little bit of the Olympics, but I've been busy working, as you do. And then I like the bobsleigh. I always like the bobsleigh. I just think those people, and the ones that do, what do they call it, skeleton?
Oh, skeleton's the best, head first.
What the hell? No, I don't think those people are crazy. It's I know, I'll throw myself down a super slidey chute at 110 miles an hour or whatever it is, and it's just my body. I mean, wow, okay.
They have a helmet on, so.
Oh yeah, that'll definitely help.
I mean, that seems like real sledding to me, as opposed to these high-tech 4-man bobsled, wind tunnel tested. Anyway, but they're up there, and one of my daughters is a dual citizen now, U.S. and Italy. So
yeah, I think bobsled is it's like sledding, except Formula One is like driving a car. It's or Indy 500 or something like that. It's yeah, okay, they're cars, but not really. Yeah. Oh, it's a sled, but it's not really. There's like 5 people and they do all sorts of crazy. I remember watching Cool Runnings with the Jamaican bobsled team. That was hilarious because they'd never seen snow or something like that. You got to admire them, really. So
in the opening ceremony, the Cortina, because they had 4 different venues where they were switching live. Snoop Dogg was something.
Yeah, we're distracting you with little PMs whilst we're talking.
Snoop Dogg was there, and he was interviewing the Jamaican bobsled team for this year. So anyway, I won't go down a drug path, but
Well, yeah, I mean, well, what can you say? They have I think the polite way is to say they have a more relaxed lifestyle and attitude to certain laws that the rest of the countries are not quite in
The
tune.
the good thing, last Olympic note, because let's get back to Delphi and all.
Yeah, I'm going to bring in
is
another
that
guest in a minute. Keep us on
the,
the straight.
the Olympics are live here, but they're like live at like 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, which is perfect programmer time. So there you go.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then and then Marco, I know, is over there, and he helped in the planning for my daughters, and they one of them, Emily, met Marco personally in Milan, and he showed her a few things and gave her his phone
Well,
number in case anything might happen.
the audience don't know this, but the good news is Marco is live in the
Hi.
studio with us.
Hey, nice to meet you.
Yeah,
Hey,
yeah.
Marco, you're not
yeah,
up. You're not up in the north, huh? I think you used to
No,
go
I'm
up
not
there.
in the north. I'm not. I'm just following on TV like anyone else, even if it's nearby.
Yeah.
Sure. Well, it was
actually,
in Milan, and you're in Piacenza, so that's very close, right?
the World Cup, I have to say, I think it's this year. Yeah, is part of it's been held in Frisco, and it's actually just over there outside my window. The annoying thing is, you can't get tickets for it. So I could throw a stone at the stadium, but there's no way I can actually get in. They're completely sold out. So I sympathise with Marco's inability to go to the Olympics. I'd be too busy anyway, but. Yeah, great stuff. Marco's joining us live. Marco, do you want me to do the video now, or?
Oh, sure. Why not? I do have 30 minutes to stick around.
Right,
so if you want to show the video, it's only 10 minutes.
So this is a good one for David as well to participate. What I'll do, I'll play this video with our cameras off, and then after it's only 10 minutes, and after the video finishes, then we'll come back and we can carefully talk about the subject, because those of you that are watching, top secret information coming along.
Okay, for this demo, let me start from the very beginning. And the beginning is this old version of Windows that I have here. And sorry, the mouse isn't working terribly well. And you can see this is the original version of Delphi client server. And what I'm going to do here is build a very simple application. I'm going to drop a timer. I'm going to use it afterwards, so let me drop it as it's here. And then on the standard page, I want to use the most classic Delphi app by adding an edit box, adding a button, adding a list box. And if you don't know, this was the first demo done at the product launch, so that's why we are kind of attached to it. So what I'm going to do here is, in this button, simply go typing that I want to take the list box 1 items and add. I need to find the parentheses because the keyword is mismatched. Edit 1.text. And I need to find a close parenthesis, and let me actually copy the final semicolon, although it's not really needed here. And so that's it. That is the most classic demo, but I'm going to extend it just a little bit and also have, whenever the timer fires, basically do the same. So let me copy this from here. But what I want to do is do time to string of now. Yeah, sorry. And again, for the sake of correctness, let me also add a semicolon. So this is our fantastic application built in Delphi 1. We can run it. And whenever we press the button, Delphi is 31, we can add text to the list box, but the timer also fires every second and keeps adding to it. So this is a 16-bit application built in a 16-bit IDE running on a 16-bit operating system. And that is my plus from the past. Now, this is a 32-bit IDE, and what I'm building here is a 32-bit Windows application, which is almost identical, has the same UI, it has the same code, with a minor change I made. Rather than using time to string, I'm just applying toString to the now function result, and that's it. The application works. It also has a significant number of differences. It's a high DPI application. It uses a lot of more modern techniques behind the scenes, but it is also extremely compatible, because I could take that exact source code and just rebuild and recompile it. As I was saying, this is a way more modern application. It uses per monitor v2, it uses a manifest, it has a number of other features that highlight the migration path. For example, one thing we can do is go to the Appearance tab and pick a style. Let's go for Iceberg Classico, for example, and and pick it as default. And with this, once I run the application, I still get the same exact application with the same exact behavior, but I get a more modern look and feel for my app. And again, no change to the source code, no change to the behavior, no change to the application overall. So let me save it. And now I'm in a 64-bit IDE, same version, but it's a different IDE, and I want to reopen the same project. And now I have my application, which is being built as a 64-bit application for Windows. Let me run it. And here it goes, same behavior. It's always 31 years. And here we go. Same application, originally 64-bit version, 32-bit version, 64-bit version, running originally in a 64-bit IDE, then a 32-bit IDE, and now in a 64-bit IDE. That is what you know and what we've built so far. Now there's something else I want to introduce, and which is still not released, and it's only a sneak peek, no implication in terms of when we're going to ship and what we're going to ship. But hey, what I can actually do here is do something different. This application in this IDE has a potential new target, which is Windows ARM 64-bit EC. And all I can do here is just select the application and then build. And what I can do is I can compile a native Windows ARM application using the ARM64 EC model supported by Microsoft, and that's it. I have built this application. Now I cannot run this application on this machine because this happens to be an Intel computer, and so the Intel computer cannot run the ARM EC application. But let me move this application and also the other ones, the other versions, to ARM Windows, and we'll see it working there. So this is Windows ARM PC. It's actually technically a Mac running Windows ARM, and this is a copy of my folder. And of course I can take the Win64 application and run it locally, because using the compatibility layer that's available on the operating system. Yeah, it's asking me because it's not signed. And this is my application. This is Win64 Intel app running here. but I can also go back to the same folder and pick the Windows 64 EC ARM binary, which is here, run it. You see that some of the files are different, some of the logic is different. It behaves exactly the same, but this is Windows ARM up running here, and you say, oh, of course, I'm just typing what it is. So if we want to know, we can actually check Task Manager, and if we don't go to the processes, but we go to the details, we can find our project 1xe, and you can see this one is the x64 version, but this one is the ARM64 version. And because it's ARM64 EC, it has x64 compatible because it can load Intel libraries in the memory space. So that's it. That's what I wanted to show as a preview of what we're working on in the RStudio R&D team. Thanks, and
I kind of ended a bit abruptly. I was like, I swear it's. Oh, hang on. Oh, hang on. Let's see. It took me by surprise. 1 second. Oh, okay. Let me only put on the people who are actually here. Someone else is asking for a join link. Let me just fix those, because I did say to someone else they could join as well. So the important thing here is that the stuff that we've just shown you is preview. Okay, and normally when we show you anything, any features at all, we have a disclaimer across the screen. We don't have one, but the disclaimer still.
the disclaimer still applies. Yeah. It's only an.
Let me give the disclaimer, which is, until we do a general, gold release of the applications, RadStudio, anything could change, and it does change. Sometimes we have the best intentions, something happens, earthquake, who knows, and for whatever reason, it doesn't happen. However, we do know that people like us to pull back the curtains a bit and go, look, and that's what this is. So we're doing a preview of what we're intending in the future. Is that fair summary, Marco?
I think it's a fair summary. Yes.
Yeah, we won't be in trouble.
No. It's okay. It's just a preview. It's just something we're working on. We wanted to use the opportunity of this event to highlight it. It's we haven't added a new platform in Delphi for some time, so it is relevant. There are other related things relevant, but we'll discuss them at a later time when we get close to shipping.
I always tell our general manager that I have absolutely zero respect for authority, and he's beginning to realize that's a fact. So I just get on with it. I do what I think is right. So, I mean, I couldn't do my job, but I'm very grateful to Idera, because actually they do not tell me what to say and do. They give me guidelines, but nobody ever says, oh, you shouldn't have said X or Y. I'm sure in some meeting, somewhere people are going, oh, what did you say? But that's the job. That's what we're here for. So, yeah, we're very excited about it. It is ARM 64 EC that you just showed, so that people understand that is in the 64-bit IDE. There's a reason for that, which is just the way that the compilers work and things like that as well. But we're very excited about it. We've already got people saying things like, "Is this coming in 13.1?" We can't announce what version will come in, but given that we're demonstrating it, we're hoping that it's near to being available to the public. But as we just said, until it's finalized, until the GA release is there, and you see that as a bullet point in the GA release document, something could happen between now and whenever 13.1 comes out, which means we can't do it, and then we can't do it. Nigel says, Ian the Rebel. Not really, no. I'm not really a rebel. Yeah.
It's
And so
always a
that,
challenge. It's always a challenge to know things that you know, and then you're out meeting with customers under NDA. So it's sort of okay, maybe there's some guidelines occasionally, but then when you're in front of everybody trying to get little say, hey, the innovation continues, so stay tuned. And of course, everybody wants it. I immediately looked over at my Raspberry Pi 5, but again, anyway. It's always that wonderfulness and also challenge, and also I want it.
yeah. I mean, it's the same for me because I am a Delphi fan. I always was. Marco was as well. Marco was way before I was. I mean, he was in before Delphi was out. But I say this to people when you hear we sometimes get negative press from people because when you've got millions of users, if 0.1% of people are unhappy with you, that's a lot of people who are going to, and it's like anything. Nobody ever goes to a restaurant and looks out for the manager of the restaurant and says, that was the best meal I've had for a while. No, I mean, they do, but it's unusual. But everybody who's unhappy with the meal goes and tells the restaurant manager, unless they're British, and then they just go home and cry about it. But it's the same, people that are unhappy are always louder than the ones that are happy. But we're very blessed with our users. We have a great bunch of users. Later on, I'm going to do some slides from our user groups, but they're very engaged people, and very positive. And I was a fan long before I came to work for the company. And one day when I'm too old to do what I'm doing, I'll still be a fan. I just won't be in front of the camera all the time.
No, it's much simpler these days. You can get online with people and do these things, but it's nothing like visiting them. It is. I don't miss the long flights and travel and all that stuff. I really don't. I did that. I'm glad you're doing it, Ian and Marco.
No, I'm not.
but it's special to be able to be in a room at a conference, at a user event, in their office. I like to do that so I can look around and see what's on the screens, what's on their shelf, all of these things. So that to me is always the special thing is having those conversations, because it's more like you're listening, and when they ask you a question, you can think about, why are they asking you that question? And you don't always get that when you're, typing back and forth in a chat room or everything else. You can do that, but it's a little harder. And so
Marco's in a similar position to me. I mean, wherever we go, it's a bit weird. It's a bit like being Taylor Swift or something, because everybody wants to talk to you, and it's so weird because I go home and I'm just me again, and my dog doesn't care. He's not interested. He's just like, well, where have you been? I haven't seen you for ages. And this is his normal position. This is how excited he is that I'm doing something, which is not very excited at all. He doesn't care about an ARM compiler, as you can see. He's asleep down here at the moment.
No, what Marco demonstrated was a key fundamental that the investment you make in code in Delphi, and even Pascal code from the past, is you could still use it today. Yes, there's newer things like toString and so on that maybe weren't available in Delphi 1 or 2 or 3 and so on, but
Unicode.
But you can just take that and recompile it. I think the only thing from standard Pascal, if we want to go that route, was the block structured I/O that just was not included in Anders' original Compass Pascal and in Turbo Pascal, because it was meant to work with the file systems on the computers of the time. So write-ln, read-ln to a text file and so on. That was how you did, printf statements in ALA C and C++, for example, right? When you were debugging things, when there wasn't even a debugger, it was, you output it to a log file or to another device of some kind that you might record things. But that's the specialness. Your investment is secure and moving forward. And you can take advantage of these things. You can put if-diffs and version tags on them. So there you go.
I'm one
Oh
of
no,
the
I
few-
mean, the idea you can take, of course, this was like a trivial demo with a few lines of code, but the idea that you can take piece of source code 31 years ago, rebuild it, and then build it for Win32, Win64, well, eventually Windows R, and something very similar probably you can build for Android, iOS, and Linux with the GUI, with the graphical user
and the
interface.
web,
I mean,
actually.
and you can build it, you can build stuff for the web. So you can build everything. And at the end of the day, that code, that investment is yours. And we try to respect it. I know there are cases, there are scenarios where you have to make some breaking change, like Unicode is an obvious example. And then when you're migrating, yeah, if you're using pointers, you might need to watch out what you're doing with your pointers, map to integers and things like that. So there are hiccups, but they're relatively minor compared to basically almost any other development tool out there where, oh, I wrote this 2 years ago. Oh, no, you have to rewrite it because that was the 2 years ago thing. Now there's a new version of the library. You have to rewrite everything every 2 years. I mean, we're talking 30 years time. I mean, 30 years time was DBase was popular. I don't know, and whatever, Clipper. And VB had just started, but you can't really use VB code as it was today. There's no room for it.
Well, you can't take a VB4 program, for example, and expect
exactly.
to work on .NET.
So,
and I know that because actually, weirdly enough, before I was a Delphi guy, I was a Visual Basic guru, which is what Microsoft called their MVP program before it was an MVP program. And I liked Visual Basic, but as soon as I saw Delphi, that was the end for me. I'm like, yeah, I go that direction. It was a good. Couple of I have to say, by the way, talking about backward compatibility, I'm probably one of the few Delphi developers or Pascal developers that uses inc and dec. INC brackets.
Oh, sure. It's a great idea.
I see it all the time, people saying, this value -1 or this value +1. I'm like, there's an inc and a dec. But the thing is, the fact I am rare in using that keyword, it still works.
Sure, it does.
In Delphi 1, it still works, and that's
sure. The only trouble, you cannot use it for properties, but hey, that's okay.
Yeah,
because properties have a little
they don't know what they're doing. We forgive them, Father, for they don't know what they do.
And you can also pass a value. You can also use. I know it's not so intuitive, but you can use inc 5. That's increased by 5. It's not just by 1.
Yeah. But I like it.
We covered plus and plus equal.
We've got a couple of people backstage who want to join. And Marco, you've got to go at some point for a meeting.
I do have 5 minutes, then I'll leave. I'll get back. I do have a meeting I need to attend because it ties to finishing some of the work we're doing. So
let's see. Yeah, top secret stuff. So let's add, this is Frank Lauter. Hi, Frank.
Hi.
And my other friend, I've got lots and lots of friends, and we can only have a maximum of so many on the screen. But bring in another one in who, is. Let me just make that happen. Now we look like the Brady Bunch.
No, we need that helper nanny person in the center, but maybe that's.
Oh yes, that's the one. Yeah. But I don't think I missed anybody. I'm just making sure producer Martha's in the background as well because she's always around, bless her. But she's so busy at the moment, it's crazy. Hello, Holger. For those that don't know, I've got the names turned off because otherwise it gets a bit busy. But on the bottom right is Dr. Holger Flick, who's just drinking his drink there. Perfect timing. Who's technically American nowadays, but also German. Hi, Holger.
Hi, everybody.
And Frank,
it's an honor to be here, actually. And I haven't seen David in so long, so it's actually kind of cool.
Oh, we bring him in whenever. He loves it. I have actually got I have to say, I haven't got it on, but.
Oh, there he goes.
Yeah.
Hang on. Semi-retired software engineer, so I'm usually around, but But I have a lot of other projects here in Ashland, Oregon. Oh, there you go. There's the. He's got
There's
a
the
tie-dye
shirt.
shirt and the beard.
And the beard and the hair. I'm not going
And
to
the
put it
beard.
on because partly because it's hot, and also because that's just weird. But
This is one of my Olympic red, white, and blue US Go USA.
Oh, USA,
Olympic.
yeah. I get the advantage of cheering for England as well, so I'm hedging my bets. And the other person, of course, is Frank Lauter on the bottom left, who's not at all American, but definitely German. I think that's the best way.
Yes, I am.
Although I know all Germans say, "Oh, I'm not German." They're either Bavarian or they're always very insistent that they come from some other place that is in Germany but isn't. That's how they. Is that right?
Yeah, kind of. The Bavarian are special, but
Yeah, I've been
the
there,
others are not so. And last time we were together with David we all had the nice Christmas hats. You remember?
Oh yes, yeah. I've done a few of these. I think, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
look, and later on, Richard Hatherall's coming on as well. He's not here at the moment, I don't think. I like Restream because I can tell who's joined and who hasn't. Richard Hatherall will be joining later on as well. But I've got some presentations to do and things like that as well. I mean, of all the people here, I guess Marco and David, and particularly David, can talk to the early days of Delphi. But if I just ask both, and in fact, Richard Hatherall has just turned up. Why not add him?
The early days, you mean, started with Turbo Pascal 1.0 on CPM on the Z80 CPU, like I did?
Yeah. Richard, have you got YouTube playing or something like that in the background? Because I can hear an echo.
Sorry, I just killed it off. It's
this is Richard Hatherall, who is now in the sin bin.
No, and Ian, I put in. Was it me? No, I don't have anything else going on.
Oh, I think it might be Richard. Yeah, Richard, mute your mic for just 1 second.
I've killed it.
Okay, Bear's gone maybe. Unless I'm gone too.
Oh, his mic's gone. No. Well, I don't know what happened there.
Okay.
I think it is Richard, given that it's now that we can't hear him, we can't hear the echo. So,
okay. I mean, one of the things that's why I spent the time, and I put the URL in the chat window to write my blog post for this morning. I actually spent days thinking about it, but it was to really connect the beginning of Pascal, then to Turbo Pascal 1, and all the way through the different eras and into Delphi, and why, all of this continuation has evolved in the innovation that's been going on. And I also I didn't want to go through all the pre-Delphi. That was covered if people go back to the 10-year anniversary or 25-year anniversary, some of the discussion about, was it going to just be a pure visual development environment, no coding, you'd like drag and connect and plus signs and so on. That had different code names like Monet, it was a work of art and so on. But then finally, the connection of the language, Object Pascal and components and, and the runtime library and the ID. And that during some of those times, I think Danny Thorpe wrote a great article about the road to Delphi, about some of the things that took place, plus the choosing of the name. And those are some of the historical documents that are available.
If you can put the link in the chat again, I can make it appear, because I think sometimes when people put, or you can email it to me. Is it on your blog, David? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it's my. If they go to the Embarcadero blog, community blog, it's there.
Okay, yeah.
I just put it in again.
Yeah,
yeah,
I'll put it shown later. Yeah,
and so that whole discussion back in the early days, everything was like builders, Power Builder and all those kinds of things. So the code, one of the code names, I think when Anders demonstrated it, said App Builder, before it had the Delphi name. And so but it was that whole mixing of a bunch of history, another 12 years of Turbo Pascal, TurboVision, then to the Turbo Pascal for Mac, using the Mac operating system and the UI interfaces that were there, and then Turbo Pascal for Windows, and then of course all of that was Object Windows Library, OWL, which was a collaboration of the R&D team and Zach Gerlocker and the people from Whitewater Group coming in to do some guidance on architecting what a Windows layer would look like. So all of that, and then the BCL, of course, Chuck J and others, really getting into laying out that world. And at the demo, Anders demonstrating using components. And I think one of the last demos, he actually loaded up the app builder source code in the IDE and built Delphi, the IDE, and then ran a program and debugged it and threw an exception to show exception handling, and all that was done live in front of everybody at the launch as well. And Marco was there. The booth afterwards, then the next day was just mobbed with people. I mean, it's like, everybody wanted more information and more, because the keynote, the demo was in the evening at the Miller Friedman Software Development Conference. So, that whole discussion. Then there was a discussion internally about 16-bit, even though Windows 95 was going to come out later that year. And we were testing things on Windows 95 and 32-bit, but you got to ship. I mean, Philippe one time told us when we were going to come out with Turbo Pascal 4, we wanted to have dynamic memory management because we had Turbo Pascal 3 that had overlays, and so Turbo Pascal 4, we came to Philippe, Gary, and Anders and I and said, we really, if you give us a few more weeks, we'll have dynamic memory management. And Philippe, I think the joke for me was, it was payday and we had our paychecks before auto deposit. And Philippe said, okay, take your paycheck and get a pair of scissors. How much of your paycheck do you want to do without by delaying Turbo Pascal 4 until it had dynamic.
He had a unique way of motivating people, shall we say. So, Mark,
you always have to ship a product. The bottom line was you got to ship. And then we came out with Turbo Pascal 2 very quickly to have 32 bit.
I mean, I've worked for entrepreneurs almost my entire working life, and they have advantages and disadvantages. And Philippe Kahn was definitely a character. Well, I don't know why I'm talking to him in the past tense. He's very much alive. But Marco, you've got a meeting coming up.
I need to go. I'll be back in probably 30 minutes. Should be able to join you again.
Sure.
Talk to you in a bit.
All right, no problem. Thanks for coming along and revealing the secrets. Okay, so I mean, you mentioned Apple Pascal. I don't know if I've said this before. I think I have, but I actually went for a job at Apple in the UK, and it was the weirdest job because the reason that I would have got this job is because I was a Pascal programmer who could program in C. And I went there because the agency that I was working for, who was finding me work at the time, said, they've got Apple Accounts, which was an accounting package when Apple still wrote, good quality retail software. I shouldn't say too much, otherwise I'll probably get Apple righteous. But let's just say that's not their forte at the moment. And of course, it was written in Pascal, Apple Pascal, and so I went and first of all, I didn't recognize that the guy who was cleaning the windows in a pair of jeans and a scruffy t-shirt was actually the boss, the weirdest company ever. But he showed me through and they interviewed me and they asked me loads of questions about Pascal. I did all that. And I think the question that clinched the job was they said, how do you view C? And I said, basically, it's like a high-level assembler. It's that high-level assembly language. And that's what I think. And I'm like, I've got this job. I went home and weirdly enough, I got a phone call saying, hey, we'd like to offer you the job. And they offered me, fairly good salary. And I turned them down. And the reason I turned them down was at that point, Apple was in a nosedive. And there was a lot of, I can't remember whether Steve Jobs still worked for them at the time, but I remember that it was a big problem, and I got a better offer for another company with more money, and I thought, I want to go and work for Apple, and I chose not to. So I could have had on my CV ex-Apple employee. I think that would have made a lot of difference to my salary over the years. But it was entirely because of Pascal, because I could code in Pascal and C, and they needed kind of a bilingual person, so to speak. And there you go. So yeah, that's my my only Apple anecdote. I've never been offered a job by anybody else like that since, but I'm glad I didn't take it, because I probably would have been made redundant or fired very soon afterwards. Once they decided to sort of focus on Macs and things like that rather than retail software. But there you go. Okay, so I have got some questions really. Of the 3 non-Embarcadero people, and actually Holger is secretly behind the scenes, used to work for Borland back in the day, didn't you? You were a QA guy, is that right?
That is correct. I did localization QA at the time, and
It's Japanese, obviously, not German.
that was exactly it. And I was working basically comparing dialogues. If there was like labels cut off, I was supposed to file bug reports so that the German version looked like the English one. And it was during the time when they introduced generics. So that there is actually quite a funny story to it, because Microsoft at the time used automatic translation, and they had C# had generics before Delphi. And they had translated the documentation, and they translated generics in the context of generic medicine, generics in that kind. So basically, that's what the German translation department also did. So they translated generics not with the term, they translated it with basically generic medicine. So that was these kind of things were what I would be on the lookout for, that these things basically were correct, that we would have right terminology and these kind of things, that stuff doesn't get translated that shouldn't get translated.
Whenever I've worked on applications that were multilingual, German was always the language we translated first.
Yeah,
because it is always the one that caused problems. I mean, Frank, isn't there like there's a 35-letter word or something in German? I'm sure there is.
There is, but they're not common used. But yeah,
I don't believe you. I've been to Germany. I've seen the menus and things like that.
Holger, back me up. No, we don't use this long words.
No, it's basically, there's this joke that public officials use long words to make it seem more academic, so to speak, or make it seem fancy.
Fail horribly.
The problem in German is you can concatenate, as my wife will perfectly tell you, you can concatenate words and create long words as long as you want them to have. You know, for example, the jackknife, you know, or the ultimate tool belt. If you want to create an application that can do everything, we call it the eierlegende Wollmilchsau, which is basically a combination of all the different animals that produce different things like eggs, milk, cheese, and all these kind of things. So we concatenate all different animals, you know. So Germany is very flexible in that way. I agree. By the way, I have one story I would like to tell, if it fits in at some point, about David I and Marco Pen too. And it was around 10 years of Delphi. And David I was in Berlin at the time. And we were floating on the river, and we'd taken a boat tour. And I clearly remember this.
On the river, like loose, or were you actually in a vehicle of some description?
We were in a vehicle, thankfully, yeah. We're not swimming, no. And I had the chance to speak with them. At the time, I was still in college, or I just started college around that time, I think. And it was around the time when .NET was so popular, and everybody was saying, like, native code is going to die. In 5 years, you won't be able to run native code. Microsoft is going to... And I'll never forget this, that David I and Marco basically said, like, well, we kind of think it will turn out a little bit differently. You know, this was 10 years of Delphi. And at the time, David I said, Holger, don't be alarmed. It's going to stay around for at least another 20 years. And I still remember hearing that quote. And 2007 plus 20 is 2027. So he was certainly not wrong about that. Native code is still here, and I think now with ARM becoming so popular because of the benefits it has, I think native code is gonna stay around. And just look at what Microsoft is doing right now with their compiler. You know, they're moving it to native code. You know, TypeScript from JavaScript to Go for the reasons that they have. So native code is definitely not something to be neglected in the future, I think.
Yeah.
Speed. Speed is everything.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anders even said it about the move, to Go for the compiler for TypeScript, right? Instead of JavaScript.
Yeah, well, instead of TypeScript, yeah. I mean, Microsoft are very keen for people to have applications that work in ARM, and I can't go into too many details, but let's just say they're involved in the discussions about why we would want to do an ARM compiler as much as normal users are, and that can't be because they're expecting it to be interpreted code. It's got to be because it's native ARM code, right? So if Microsoft are thinking in that direction, then I don't think we're wrong to think in that direction still as well. AI is the biggest threat to anybody, I think, but I think it's more likely. One of the reasons why I asked Frank on here is because Frank is using AI every single day almost. It is every day now, isn't it, Frank? I think
I use it every day now, yeah, for about 12 weeks now. Of course, I'm using ChatGPT in the browser for a long time, but I'm using the agent stuff, which is able to direct modify files on your hard disk, or on your SSD these days. And this is a real game changer. But before we talk about AI, I want to tell an additional story about what David I said, that you could use a Delphi, whatever, or Turbo Pascal source code and compile it today. We skip the Unicode part at this moment, but I started on CP/M with Turbo Pascal 1. And migrated then to IBM Turbo Pascal 2, I think, and 3. And these days, 1986, we started our business with our main application we're still doing today. And of course, this was a time, no internet. We had one of the biggest mailbox systems in Germany or in Europe, and that was the only source of information, but there was some discussion about FidoNet, if you know this term. And everybody was doing DOS applications this time, DOS 3.3, which was unable to do more than 30 megabytes of disk space. And our first prognostication of what you need was an XT PC with 12 megahertz, and this was a DOS time. And after I saw, I think it was on the CeBIT in Hanover, with the first .NET compiler, and then with Windows 95, which was the first application with real task systems after Windows 3.11, you remember. I told my company, or my friend, which had the company together, we need to do a Windows version. I say, no, we don't. Windows is not a point. And then I started with Borland Pascal for Windows, and with a DOS emulation screen on a Windows screen, and it was horrible slow, you can imagine. And then with Delphi 1.0, I never tried it. And with Delphi 3, I think this was the starting where I say, okay, now we have a IDE and a tool, we can do our first Windows application. And we was the first in our business market to Windows application. And because we had many customers so prone to using the DOS software and all the DOS software benefits of fast applications, we were able to produce the DOS version and the Windows version from the same code base. We are not talking today like FMX, we are proud to do all platforms. We are talking about complete different linear programming to event-driven Windows applications from the same code base. We had an if-def compiled to DOS and compiled to Windows with Delphi 3. And nobody believes us. And I was on the CeBIT booth of Borland this time, and oh no, that's you're unable to do this. And always keep a 5 1/4 floppy disk if you go to the CeBIT. I showed it, and nobody believes it that we are able to do DOS and Windows from the same application. And to get it around, what David said. Show me only one application, one language that is able to compile 40 years of old code today. I think there's nothing.
Yeah, I think that's unlikely. I mean, COBOL maybe would be the only other language. It's funny you mentioned ChatGPT. There's this meme at the moment. And by the way, a couple of people saying about the echo. Some of the mics work differently. David, I've just muted your mic. It's not your fault. It's just the way the system works. But when you're ready, just unmute yourself. But there's a meme that you don't need to say sorry. It's not your fault. It's the system. But there's this meme at the moment for ChatGPT where people say, create a caricature of me based on everything and my work based on everything you know about me. And I tried this because lots of people got really cool looking, like these ones. I'm going to show David I's version in a moment, which is way better than everybody's. But I tried it, and this is what it did. It doesn't look anything like me.
That's not bad.
I don't know. I kind of look like a Brazilian MVP. I know. I think it looks a bit like him, but I like the fact that if you look, the top book says cybersecurity, which was funny, and but it is good that they have these things. But I'm going to show. I've had a few people send me them. Like this one was done of me a while ago, which I thought was quite funny, and then. I'm just seeing if there's another one.
Do you have the original query for this request?
You just say, create a caricature of me based on everything. Okay. Create a caricature of me and my work based on everything you know about me. It doesn't really matter. I mean, just try that and you'll do. I mean, loads of people on Instagram. But this was one that Dave Nottage did a while ago, which I thought was funny. And the weird thing was, it was actually very good because it had all the book case behind it at the time. But David I has the ultimate one. This is the original David I, and then this is the one he did. And not only that, I haven't got the video loaded, but he had this animated as well. I'll just make sure you're unmuted so you can talk. But it was pretty amazing, wasn't it, that you did that?
So I had the picture of me standing in front of that original Turbo Pascal Byte magazine ad, the blow up that I have posterized, and I was wearing glasses at the time. But since I had the glasses, I don't wear glasses anymore. I now have these reading glasses because I had my lenses replaced. I had cataracts, and so I had my lenses replaced. So I first said, create a Pixarized, Pixar of me, and then it had me with glasses. And then I said, the prompt was remove the glasses, because I realized I don't wear glasses anymore, except reading glasses, and it did that. And then I have a variation of that one where instead of the Pascal poster, I have a Jerry Garcia playing the guitar poster as well. So if somebody's wondering why Turbo Pascal, I've got a Jerry Garcia version of. Well, I said replace the Pascal poster with Jerry Garcia poster. Okay. Jerry Garcia, and I gave it a picture, so I have a variation of that one as well for the non-programming type people. So.
Yeah, when I went to, as people may know, when I went to the Delphi summit in Amsterdam, I was cosplaying as David I. No, I didn't do it. I did it it was last year actually. But I went on and they had me up as David AI. That's how we called me.
There you go.
David AI, not David I. It was a lot of fun. Oh, look at that! See, that's exactly the kind of color I think.
That's my iPhone
Isn't that awesome?
cover anyway.
Yeah. I have to say, I'm a big fan of the Grateful Dead, and they always used to have shirts like that and things like that, and it's great fun. But I mean, AI is really, this was someone else did this with AI as a background. There is a website that's got a whole bunch of backgrounds on it generated by AI. But also some mechanical ones. I didn't go as far as this. This is one of our MVPs in Brazil. He's off on holiday at the moment. I'm looking at you, Richard Hathaway. You need to step up now and get your Delphi tattoo. But he got a Delphi tattoo. Richard's like, I don't do that. No.
Sorry.
I don't use.
It's a requirement of MVPs. Did I mention?
I mean, I use all the AI. I use all the AI tools, I should say, but I'm just using them, including agents and so on, so I can just track what's going on and how it's impacting or won't impact software development and developers. So, but I still program the old-fashioned way, but I use those other things. But go ahead. I've talked too much. So.
Yeah, well, that's fine. That's what you're here for. This was another one that they created. This is supposedly that image that they created of me, the AI version, then transformed back into a realistic image. Now, what's funny about that is if you look behind me, up there, I've got some more junk. Every time I go anywhere, I put more junk on my thing. You can just about see that bear there, okay, which it has in the image. And that was my childhood teddy bear. I had that when I was 3 months old. My father won it at a fair when I was a kid. But you got to really, really admire the AI for being incredibly accurate. This is, like I say, it's out of date now purely because I've got different things on my shelves. And of course, I've got the video game console behind me now. But yeah, it's remarkable stuff. Really, Richard, I meant to ask you, by the way, just in case Richard is feeling very relaxed about life, I did, as I was going through my photos of user groups, I found a photo for user group. Now, Richard is an extremely talented developer. He's a very good friend of mine, same as Holger and Frank. I mean, I have lots of very talented friends, but these three are probably
I don't know what's coming.
But this one was a user group photo. I don't think we published this one.
I don't know what was going on there.
I don't know what was going on there either. I just thought it just came up in my when I was looking for the videos. It was like, there's Richard.
That was me going through an airport. Was that on the way to? That might have been on the way to Delphi Summit last.
I think it was in Amsterdam or something like that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, look.
Like Amsterdam, yes.
Yes, I think.
I know that airport.
Yeah, me too. I've been stuck there a lot. David and I have been to probably most airports nowadays around the world. I was supposed to go to Brazil last year, and I got turned away at the airport as an undesirable. And the reason is that various governments had a big argument about it, and Brazil introduced a visa 3 days before my flight. And they said, oh, it's okay. It's an e-visa. You just sign up for it and you get it at the airport. Went to the airport and they're like, oh, yeah, it's definitely signed up for it. And they said waiting time 7 days. And I was at the gate waiting to get on the plane. And they're like, no, we can't board you. That was it. But apparently now I need a British passport to go back to the UK. So, Richard, I blame you for voting in the government. But I don't have a British passport. I've got to apply for a new one because I'm an American citizen and a British citizen, but my British one expired in like 2013. But the good news is, once I have a British passport, I don't need a visa for Brazil. So, hey, isn't international?
I was going to ask, was the undesirable part the American bit or the British part of you?
Well, I couldn't possibly comment. I mean, America's the greatest country in the world, of course, but so is the UK. But I want to make sure I get through both borders, so I'm going to be very nice about both countries. But yeah, I mean, as the developer relations person, you do get to see a lot of people. That's part of the fun of the job. You guys as MVPs are very interactive with users as well, and I appreciate what you do. You know, Richard and Holger have both been on quite a lot of webinars as well, and Frank is always looming behind somewhere. Frank is a very interesting guy. He sits there and he looks kind of laid back and is kind of, he's a programmer. But then I've heard stories about he has a pilot's license. You know, he keeps that bit quiet. He's a bit more to him than you would think sometimes. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm
Yes, he's so modest. Yeah.
This was a
I
time
only
where-
have 2 planes. Yeah, it's nothing.
No. I sold my planes, but
Oh, no, see, I sold my planes.
Plural.
yeah.
It's great. Well, look, so what I'm going to do is I've got some stuff to talk about now, demoing stuff. What would be your final thoughts, I think, before we let you go, guys? If I start, I'll start with Richard and then work to Holger, and then we'll end with David. So, Richard, I mean, you still write Delphi code. Your logo there, which people are scanning, I'm pleased to say, is for your stuff. And we're going to do a webinar soon, I think, as well, with some of your latest bits and bobs.
Yeah,
but what,
coming.
I mean, what was the version of Delphi you started with? It was late 2 or something, wasn't it?
I received a little bit of training on Delphi 1, but the first version I actually properly used was Delphi 2, and that was my first programming job. And I've loved most Delphi versions since. I think everyone always talks about Delphi 7, but I think my most prolific period of writing was probably Delphi 6. I wrote so much code during that period that
Delphi 7 is the version that never dies. You know that, right?
I know that, but I try to use entirely modern versions now. I try to avoid the legacy.
I mean, I'm a big fan of Delphi 7 as well. Everything came together. It's got bugs in it and things like that, but it's one of those ones where it never dies. A lot of people are very happy with it still, even though they really shouldn't be using it for modern apps. But you know, it is the version that won't die. Delphi 6, yeah.
I do keep getting requests for my libraries to go back a version or two. I won't say exactly how far, but yeah. I'm always like, I know it might be useful for you, but can you just maybe nudge a version on?
Well, I think the earliest version we can actually provide, you get prior versions access. I think the earliest version we can now do is 7. I don't think we can go back further than that. David I has probably memorized all the unlock codes for 6 downwards, so we could always ask him. So, but yeah, I mean 7 is probably the earliest, and so Frank says he does as well. But I think it's a benefit, it's a strength of the language, and it's a curse, because if we'd done what say .NET did and always become incompatible with prior versions. We wouldn't have a lot of people on older versions. Everybody would be using the latest version or nothing, and so it's a curse from that point of view, because there are still people that are saying, "No, I got XE1 or whatever, and I love it." And you're like, okay, well, what about all these new improvements that have come out since then? And they don't care, but. Yeah.
The bigger curse is for the I'm not going to make you crack out the violins for me here, but for component vendors, we see all of the nice new language features and things coming, but you can't make use of the language features as a component vendor because you need to make your components compatible for older versions and things. So I get to see all the nice things, but I can't touch them.
Yeah, well, I mean that is a problem for component vendors as well, because I deal with tech partners as part of my job, and I do get people saying things like, "Hey, we need tech partner licenses for these versions," and some of them are like, you know it's like 20 odd years old, and you're trying to you're trying to
I think
trying to support those. And I understand from a commercial point of view, some of the component vendors, that's what they need to do, because if their people are using them, they don't want to lose a sale. But
now
it is
Marco's
curse,
back. Now Marco's back, I'll say I am very psyched and excited about the whole ARM developments, and I think it's only appropriate that we nudge him for Linux ARM as well.
Oh my God!
Because
Raspberry Pi.
No, I'm a cloud guy, right? As in, I'd love to be able to deploy to ARM instances in the cloud.
It is a reasonable request.
There you go. Antonio said, "Is there room on the screen?" And I've gone for almost the maximum.
I was wondering. I mean, this. Well, hello everyone. This whole drive going on here.
Yeah, I should mention your name just in case people don't know who you are, but I think they do. Antonio Zapata. I'm going to try and say it. Never going to get it right because I can't do at the end of it. Zapata.
Well, no, that's very good. Very good.
Oh, I'm improving. There you go. Yeah, but he's a good guy. Antonio is a dynamo when it comes to going around doing demos. He does more demos than me, more webinars than me, I imagine. But certainly more in-person appearances. And if you think I travel a lot and David I travels a lot, no, good grief, no. Antonio has probably got miles. What do they call them? One of those air miles things or something like that. Yeah. Can't you go to the moon and back and then off to Mars? For free.
Yeah, a lot of people think are very jealous because I can travel a lot, and then I would say that it's yeah, very much.
Yeah, I mean, I like the user groups. I like to see our users for real. I like to go up and have the opportunity for them to tell me what they think. Unvarnished, and they do, unfortunately, but kind of filtered. I think it's important for them to see that we're real people. And it always bugs me when you see people commenting on social media where they say things like, "Oh, they are not listening," or "I don't think that's the kind of thing they would do," as if we're some kind of weird entity. And in fact, there's a lot of very hardworking people behind the scenes, and quite frequently you're one of them. But you're as public as me, probably, and Marco, and we take it personally. And I've never worked at a company where people are very passionate about a product like this. It is a product. We sell it. It's not given away. Well, CE version's free, but it is something that's a commercial enterprise. And so, it's not like selling wine. People can get passionate about being a vintner or whatever, But software's not always quite like that, and Delphi very definitely has got a big kind of passionate following. Sometimes a bit too passionate,
No, it's never too passionate.
Let me unmute David I, because he's muted for some reason.
Oh, sorry. I never. What you just said, never.
They're never too passionate.
No.
Delphi forever. And don't get me started about the hat at the conference. What was it, in San Diego, I think? Delphi saving Borland one release at a time. Sorry. Anyway, but that was back in those days. So
I know. And I when I say too passionate, I mean like the ones that I go, Brazil's the worst, the best or the worst, depending on which way. You walk 4 feet and someone says, "Oh, hi, I want to talk to you." And then you walk another 4 feet. "Oh, hi, I want to talk to you." And then another 4 feet. And you're trying to go to the bathroom. It's very inconvenient sometimes, but it's great. And I'm glad that people view Delphi with such a kind of positive, for the ones that are fans, the positive outlook. I know we don't always get it right, but we try and do our best. And we.
Yeah, what I usually say is that our ID is such a massive product, really. So you're gonna find people interested in multiple different areas. So for someone, maybe the the new feature that will potentially come soon, which is the ARM compiler, is going to be a game changer. And for other people, are going to say, I don't care about this. What is about this refactoring menu that is gone? This is very important for me. So it's very difficult to find the right balance. And there's always going to be people not being happy with the direction. But it's part of the product development, really. And sometimes some people, it's like when we launched the new toolchain for C++, all the C++ developers were over the moon, and they had been complaining and feeling neglected for many years. But the Delphi developers didn't care about C++. So it's quite complex to, like juggling cats sometimes. I don't envy Marco whatsoever to make the decisions of what is coming in and what is not.
Yeah, I saw someone the other day who wrote a C++ compiler in Delphi.
People do like to suffer. So
yeah, I kind of understand why you did it, but at the same time, I don't understand why you did it. And then he did the same thing in C++ with Delphi, which really makes more sense. But it was just an odd choice, and it was a very impressive piece of code. But okay, why did you do that? It's odd. So, really, I want to thank all of you. I mean, without David, you've got a point to make.
Oh, just a couple really quick things. Antonio, great job on Rad Server Books Volume 3rd edition. Great. Stephen Ball sent me a copy. It's great. Keep it up. Excellent.
Thank you very much.
I wanted to mention 3 things that I didn't talk about in my blog post about Delphi and Turbo Pascal real quick. Turbo Pascal for the Amiga was being developed on a 68,000 processor using the Sun 2 workstation. We even ran an ad in the premiere edition of Amiga World, but never. But then when the Amiga was not going anywhere except for gamers, then we switched to Macintosh using the 68,000 compiler. Delphi.net did get released in December 2003 with collaboration with REM objects and such, and then we got out of that .NET world. And there was a Delphi for Java compiler that Chuck Jadsky demonstrated at the Denver Borland conference in the summer of 1998 that never was released either. It was generating Java bytecode, and it was, the idea was it could then talk to Corba, through Java connection that JBuilder had to do multi-tier development. So that was something. And then my last very quick note is that one of the great things about Delphi 1 was the documentation. The documentation, not only for the language, but for the VCL. And I had a brother separated at birth, working with me in developer relations. I found him in technical support. He had written some Turbo Pascal books, and when we would go down, when we launched a product, we would all go down and help out support, because all these calls were coming in, and also CompuServe were pounding away. Even Philippe was on the phone, and I met Charlie Calvert and really got to know him really well, and fell in love with him in a technology way, in a brotherly way, and he. When the documentation team said they needed help in making sure that the manuals were great, I said, here, you have Charlie Calvert, as much as you need him, because I knew that we needed documentation and extra knowledge when we were going to start hitting the road in developer relations. And so it was a win-win for the company, a win for developer relations, and a win for the customer. So it was a win-win-win decision that was mutually agreed upon by everybody. And and Charlie and I traveled a lot. Sometimes, one time Charlie spilled a pitcher of water into one of my notebooks, but it was great because we were demonstrating Corba and Delphi, and that notebook shut down and failed over to another notebook. We had 4 notebooks, so it was a demonstration in real time. And next month we'll celebrate the first year of Charlie Calvert leaving us. Passing away. I was up in Seattle with his wife Margie and went to his memorial, and I miss him every day. But I have his books, on my shelf, and I have pictures from all over the world where we traveled together, doing fun things and meeting with everybody. So that's my final word about the success of Delphi, the documentation, including and evangelism, including Charlie Calvert's work.
Yeah, and I mean, part of my role in the company is to, publish important statements, obviously, about the product. There's the documentation.
Yep.
But also it means that from time to time, given that a few of us are aging and some of us aren't very good at crossing the road and watching both ways and things like that, I also sometimes end up writing obituaries and things like that. Or I don't know whether obituary is the right word, but that's what it is effectively. And
Celebration of life. Celebration of life.
Correct. Yes, it's an acknowledgement of someone's contribution to the world. And I wrote Charlie Calvert's one. I've written a few others. Everybody's bringing out their books now, Charlie Calvert books and things like that. There's been a few. The most recent one was Kyriakos, obviously, who was PyScripter guy who Marco and I both knew quite well. Several others as well. But I literally had a conversation with someone the other day about a will, because I'm not getting any younger either. It was a bit depressing because they said, "Oh, you don't need to worry about that particular bill because that goes with you when you die." I'm like, "Oh, thank you." In other words, you dying would solve this problem. I'm like, "Thanks very much for that." Yeah, I'm now going to watch over my shoulder all the while just in case someone decides there's a good way of paying off a loan or something. But yes, I mean, it's joking apart. It is. There's so many good people, Eugene and a few others as well that I've had to write about it in, the traditional sense of celebrating their life, and you can always tell because the photograph is a grayscale one. That's the tradition for
Danny too, Danny Thorpe.
Danny Thorpe, yeah, he went before my time with the company, but yes, exactly.
There's so many wonderful young developers. So many young developers as well. So, there's generations to come for Delphi as well.
Well, three out of the seven, is it? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 7. 3 out of the 7 here are what I would describe as young. Marco looks young, but I know he's not as young as he would like to pretend he is. I actually think I'm older than everybody apart from you, David. So I think that's a good thing. I think I've got a few years on Frank as well. So there you go. But
programming keeps me young. There you go. Every day. So
that's my theory. Yeah, and I'm looking forward to the stasis machine from Star Trek's one day saving me from whatever it is that's going to happen to me. So yeah, but Charlie Calvert, great guy, and sadly missed. And what can you do?
David, okay. I have a question for you. Do you miss the old times where Borland has the movie intros like Indiana Jones and Star Trek things?
So I don't miss anything, and I remember everything. It's a curse and a blessing. I have 130 terabytes of videos and tours and pictures of all the places that we went to and all the wonderful faces of all the great developers. And so I don't sit there and look at them all the time, but I enjoyed every minute, and that's why I still log into some of the events. Sometimes I'm busy with some volunteer work in Ashland, Oregon, where I'm using AI technologies and Delphi technologies to do things to help our city and our wildfire protection that we have going on in global warming. So those videos were hard to make, and I had to shave my whole beard and face for the Darth Vader becomes Bill Gates becomes David I at the BorCon at the Opryland Hotel in Nashville. So my kids and my wife didn't know who I was, but it was my voice, coming out of this face with no beard and mustache. So, but those were all fun. But everything is going all those places. I don't like to get on planes much anymore. So it's great when when Ian gets to go and Marco goes to the different events. I remember fondly all the Italy conferences, IT DevCon, the Econs in Germany. I even remember when I was in Munich at the office, the Borland office in Munich, and then the headquarters when we acquired Ash & Tate was created in Frankfurt in Langen. But I loved going to Munich. I was in Munich when the Berlin Wall went down. I was in Berlin. I was in Berlin as was mentioned. CeBIT show, 10 days of fun and craziness, and parties and everything else.
I did CeBIT.
And when I was
years, and it was horrible.
And when I was
standing at stands and the biggest mistake we had, the company I worked for, is we had a poster behind us that said hello in 25 languages or something like that, which is a good idea, right? Except for one thing. When they see that poster, everybody assumes you can speak their language. so they come up and they go, good dog, and they were like, nope. And I went round, there was a photo of me, I was wearing a company t-shirt for the company I worked for, and I had a rubber Einstein mask on it. It was pretty good. And it was obviously a mask. And I walked around and they had a PR person touring me around, and people could take photographs with us and we'd hand them a brochure. And, it's a very good idea. But what I discovered was everybody thinks that Einstein speaks their language. Isn't that weird? Because everybody would come up, they would speak in Tagalog or, German or French or whatever. Every single person immediately spoke, not just like, do you speak English? But they would have a full-on conversation with Einstein. Now, I couldn't say anything in a rubber mask, but they have a full-on conversation. It taught me a lot about marketing, and understanding how, if you get the right kind of pitch, the language is universal if you use the right kind of symbolism and things like that as well. So, yeah. So,
one quick thing. Favorite trips of all time, Munich, then to an OOP conference in Garmisch-Partenkirchen in the Tyrolean Alps. That was a spectacular, and also visiting with Marco and having Marco take me around. Except we were drinking that terrible. Your dad would make these very strong alcoholic things with,
limoncello or something like that.
Yeah. Some very strong.
Yeah, I've been to Italy and I've experienced this. I like it. I've made. My stepfather was Polish, and they used to make similar things with sloes. Like the wild plums that you get and things like that. Richard, you must have had sloe gin, right?
But Brazil, the spirit of the Brazilian. The spirit of the Brazilian developers. If you've never gone to a developer Delphi conference in Brazil, you have to go.
Worth the trip, and then you need to book a week off afterwards to recover.
Yeah. But your experience was different.
The
conference itself is fantastic. Then, if you get lost, if they leave you out of the flight and lose your luggage, that's your problem. It's not the problem.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. I literally got stuck at the airport for 6 days and couldn't get back. But I tell you what, those people, when they ever use a group, it's party on. I mean, right now is Carnival in Brazil, and we're like, wow, these people they're just, I admire them. I think that you go to the Brazilian conference, it's a very wide age range. It's much more, if you go to Germany or England, everybody tends to look a bit like me, that kind of age group. Maybe not so much for Spain. Antonio is here to represent the Spanish kind of area, but actually European in general. But I think that Brazil is very dynamic. It's got much more young population and actually a lot more mixed as well. In fact, I just had a message from Soleil. She said, where was it? I meant to star it, but she's like, you definitely got to come. Yeah, here it is. She said, you have to come this year. So I've been told by Soleil I have to go to Brazil, so I'm going to go to Brazil. Okay. But she's an amazing developer, and they're all very talented over there. I personally believe that Brazil could be alternate Silicon Valley. The economy is unfortunate for the Brazilians that it's much lower cost of living and things like that, and in Brazil, but the technology and the talent that's over there is equal to any country. And you would go to Brazil, and I mean, who can't love driving past a river and there's capybaras wild by the side of it? They're huge guinea pigs, you know. And it's absolutely. And then when you say, "Oh, okay, that was a great conference," and they're like, "Oh, do you want to go for a meal?" And you say, "Yes, please." They go, "Okay." So you go to a restaurant and they say, "Oh, it's happy hour." Okay, all right. Within 20 minutes, everybody was on the tables dancing, and I mean everybody in the restaurant dancing away on the tables. Brazil is a really quite a unique country. They
It's in the name, happy hour.
yeah, they do happy. Like I can't imagine. I've been to the Munchahola in Seabit. David must remember that. But you know that those umpa bands that you get in Germany, and that's quite raucous in Seabit, where they have the bomb, you know, the big bands that play, and then Bavarian drinks in their big steins and stuff like that. Italy, beautiful country. Very. We went to Florence, and I have photographs of Marco being the unofficial tour guide for lots of Delphi people watching him talk about the history. But it's very, very good. And Antonio, you were there as well, weren't you? I think, and it's a diverse community, and I feel very lucky to do the job I do. People always go, "Oh, you're so busy, aren't you stressed?" Oh, some days it's not great, you know, but actually, no, I feel very fortunate to do what I'm doing.
You're doing a wonderful job.
I'm doing the job that I fit into. I appreciate that people appreciate what I'm doing, but it's like anything, you know. If you get a person who's very good at drawing, then you would expect them to be able to draw pictures for you and do a good job of it. Obviously, if they take great care and they do a good job, and yes, it helps. My set of skills happens to fit in with what we need, and that's great for everybody. You know?
Being a developer, programming, talking to developers about programming, presenting developer tools to programmers to you. I mean, it's, you know, again,
it's a weird set of skills, isn't it?
It's the best job, you know, best job on the planet for me, you know.
Yeah, for sure, and I think so too. Well, look,
get in the candy store.
Yeah, I want, you know, I wanted everybody to make sure that they had the opportunity. Holger, before you go, what are you working on at the moment? You've got some stuff coming up, haven't you?
Yeah, it's kind of like born out of what I'm doing most of the time. Now, most of the time and Antonio knows this because I met him in person at the time when I was taking the first steps with web stencils, and I do a lot of backend work right now because Delphi and databases is just great, and web stencils is just like, as I say, in what I'm working on right now, 75% of the time, web stencils is really sufficient for most of the web needs that Delphi developers have. So I'm right now working on basically a guide for web stencils and online course. So hopefully we'll bring people over and show them how wonderful web stencils is, and for the 25 other percent where you need deeper JavaScript, we also have solutions, but most of the time web stencils is really, and the additions, this is what you said, Ian, like the recent versions, it's not like, I see so many Delphi developers, when they get a new version of Delphi, they look in the VCL, drop components on oh, there's nothing new. And you don't see the amount of work that goes into the VCL components being updated, and then also into these things that you don't see, like web stencils is literally something you don't see, the work that went into the templating engine, and even version 13, something I think you had influence on whitelisting certain properties to make it more secure, and these kind of things have come in version 13. So I'm very, very positive on web stencils for basically this kind of development. If you have a database and you want to do basic CRUD, and then the next thing, it's also going to be tiny part of the course. I want to take away the angst or the developers being basically afraid of using HTML and CSS, because that's where the AI models really shine nowadays. So if you know certain prompts that you can use, and even you can generate HTML pages nicely layouted, and then you copy those templates into your Delphi applications, and you have a wonderful page. And I show that too, how quickly you can do that, and with basic HTML, CSS skills, because I'm definitely not a web designer, but it looks professional.
I have to say, I mean, I know you worked very closely with the developers behind it, and so does Antonio. I get to see all the conversations that go on and things like that as well. But both of you have contributed towards the product actively by using it and then saying, why does this work this way? And during the last release for Florence, there were some new features came in, and they came out due to user suggestions where people said, hey, it's great, but what about this idea? It just goes to show that, as I said before, I put my email address at the start of this webinar to make it clear that you contact us and we'll do this, and we can't do everything. We don't have the multi-billion gazillion resources of Microsoft, but in some ways that's a good thing, because when you're talking to someone like me, I can go and talk to people who are the decision makers. They might still say no, but at least your voice has been heard, genuinely heard. And it's not a big wheel that takes big wheels to move. It is about, making your voice heard. And if a good idea is a good idea, really, at the end of the day, if you come up and say, hey, a white list or a black list or whatever it was called, I think we called it accept and deny or something like that in Web Stencils, that came about through people coming up with some suggestions and saying, well, that's a good idea, but what about this? And everyone went, yeah, maybe we should put this in. And it was not something that was, not everybody was clamoring for that, but it was so obviously a good idea that it was put in. And like I say, I want people to realize that Embarcadero is not some big monolith. It's a living product. Delphi is something the people that work at the company, Antonio, Marco, myself, and all of the others, many hundreds of people behind the scenes, really many, maybe, but the multitude of people, put it that way, a lot of people behind the scenes. Well, there's salespeople, and I'm trying to include everybody I can think of, but all those people are certainly ones I deal with on a day-to-day basis, are very much believe in the product and have a say in what goes on, and known people more so than the users. Really, they get to have their voice. And I challenge any company, if you don't like the AI that's in Microsoft Windows, who can you email? Not one person on this panel, who are all technology experts, could tell you who to contact to complain about, I don't like the AI in Office, or I don't like the AI.
I mean, Satya, but yeah.
Yeah, Satya, like he's going to read your email. He's like, rip that up. Yeah. I mean, perhaps, I could be doing them a disservice. Maybe they've got that, but I've never seen it, and I'm pretty into what they do. Same with Apple. A lot of people hate the new glass interface, and I'm sure they're listening, and I'm sure Tim Cook gets a lot of emails as well. But the likes of Tesla, who send back poop emojis, that's really quite rude when you're paying, $80,000 for a car, and the press try and contact you and you send back a poop emoji. We would never do that, and I get why they do it, but it's
I'm sure that if you do email them, your email will be read and then rolled up into one of those AI summaries, right?
Yeah, exactly. That, and I want to point out to people as well, when you email me, I read it, not AI. I do use AI in my job. I have to. It's not really feasible to do it, but every single email that comes to me, I read and I reply, and I do let the grammar checker fix a few things, because but actually I don't use AI to reply, and that's important, because I want people to understand you're talking to a human being and you get a human response. And sometimes I mess it up and say the wrong thing. Sometimes if you're offensive, I might be rude back. I'm not made of wood, but I try not to be like that. It's a very, very small occasion, but actually you're getting a genuine reply from someone who cares about the product, because I do, from Delphi 1, I care about it. Okay, anyway, enough of that. Otherwise we'll be talking about this. So I've got some demos to do. Frank, I feel like we've lulled you into a laid back attitude there. You're kind of like
No,
super relaxed about
that's my
Delphi.
not normal position for work. So
Oh, is it?
it is. Yeah, that's why I have a gamer thingy here around, and everything works.
I have a
Yeah,
gaming
of
chair as
course.
well.
Yeah, of course.
I,
No,
I'm regular
I,
gaming.
I'm fine. I'm really proud to know some of you guys, and I like to be at these kind of talks, and we should do it occasionally, more often, perhaps.
Holger needs to disappear, so we're going to get Holger off the screen anyway because I'm going to go and do his presentation. Thanks for joining us, Holger. Yeah.
Yeah, and you always tell everybody email me. So I'm currently working on a Delphi formatter because it's gone, but I started it early. Gone. And the benefit of doing a Delphi formatter is I wrote a tokenizer and everything else you need. And the side project of this is I will get a nice tool to migrate non-Unicode to Unicode applications with this. And
David I is just messaging me as well, saying he's got to leave as well. He's going to the gym, which is far too energetic for someone who's a lifelong developer. Because I walk past the gym every day with my dog and wave to people and go hi. Thanks a lot, David, for joining us. Yeah.
Thanks for joining.
Yeah.
Bye, everyone. And Marco, thanks for helping Emily get prepared for the Olympics. Thanks.
Awesome stuff. Thanks, David. Speak to you soon. There's a little delay when I turn the cameras off. Isn't that a bit weird? Accidentally. So yes, Frank. Yeah, I got what you were saying. You're basically like this is how you do things, and super laid back. But the Delphi formatter, I mean, I don't want to bite into that wasp's nest too much. But yes, I mean, we realised that the removal of the Delphi formatter was something that. Everybody talked to me about last year everywhere I went. And there are alternatives. I mean, PAS format is my personal favorite, but there's a few other options as well. But we do want to bring it back. We've said this as much, but like anything, it's down to when can we bring it back and how can we bring it back. It's no good bringing back a Delphi formatter that doesn't work. If somebody comes up with a good solution, Mr. Lauter.
Yeah, that's my point. That I want to repeat your phrase. If you have spare time and you want to help with my Delphi formatter, feel free to send me an email.
Yeah,
frank@delphiprofi.com or .de.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I appreciate it, Frank. And yeah, I'll let you go as well. And Richard, we're going to meet up again for another webinar soon, aren't we?
Yep, fingers crossed.
What Silicon Valley stuff can we do next time? Because we've done the seafood app. We've done.
Not a hot dog.
Yeah, not a hot dog. That was I've still got it on my phone actually. It's a really good app, and it was written. I'm just seeing if I've got it here. Oh, instant social. Oh, there we go. That is. It's a bit shiny because of the if I turn it around, it's not a very beautiful app, but the reason is it's an exact replica of what was in the Silicon Valley program, and it works. So I don't have any food with me, but if you hit the camera button like that and do that, you can just about see that thing, not a hot dog. Well, no, because it isn't a hot dog, it's my TV screen. This is a working app. It's a mobile app. We wrote it in FireMonkey, and it connects using your Apposite components and does proper image recognition. If I had a hot dog in the room, and I don't, the only hot dog I've got is asleep on the floor. But if I pointed at a hot dog, we did a test in a webinar where we pointed at a hot dog and pointed at a pizza, and it would say not a hot dog but a pizza because it knows that it's pizza. And the point is that you can do image recognition really easily with your components and Amazon stuff like that. So we'll come up with something better. I did have a good idea about a security system actually that I thought about, but we'll have to talk off camera about what ideas you might have.
Yeah, I think if we can do something that's both entertaining and serious at the same time, I think that's always best.
That's the way we're trying to approach it. Yeah. Jim McKeith was always for the crazy stuff because he what was it he did? He wanted me to be on camera, but being shocked by a Van de Graaff generator, like a 1,000,000 volt shock through my finger. I'm like, no, I don't think I'm going to do that. And then he went ahead and shocked me anyway. So, yeah. And then there was another time where we did a sword fighting with Delphi swords and Delphi helmets. I wouldn't say he's crazy, but he is crazy. So I invited him today. He can't do it today. He's working, so it is what it is. All right, and Antonio, I want to say goodbye to you as well. But thanks for joining.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, hey, it's not a problem. Obviously you work for Embarcadero, and people may know you from that as well. Someone asked who you were, and I pointed out who you were, just in case. Obviously, they're not European, because if anybody is a European Delphi fan, you've probably been there at some event or other, haven't you?
Yeah, I'm dealing with the whole of Europe and Africa and Middle East.
Africa as well?
Yeah, I'm not traveling to Africa, unfortunately, even though I would love to. But we have a lot of universities in South Africa, actually.
Yes, yeah, that's right. Johannesburg, I think, is the university.
Exactly.
Cape Town as well.
So maybe at some point we manage to get an event in South Africa. More than happy to do a safari.
Yeah, I don't know. South Africa is one of those countries where I'm like, yeah, I need to know more about it. I think before I went. I remember when I said I was going to Brazil, and someone sent me a travel advisory for Brazil saying, don't go to these places. And then when my flight, for the first time I went to Brazil, my flight got delayed, and the airline put you up in a hotel. Great, except they put me up in like the dangerous area where there was a warning saying, do not walk around the streets at night on your own. Right. And one of our colleagues was telling me how he was robbed at gunpoint as well, and I'm like, I live in Texas, and that doesn't happen. So I was kind of a little bit unnerved, but it is what it is, isn't it? Yeah, countries. All right, and Marco, of course, has been sitting patiently doing his thing behind the scenes. Thanks for the opening of the veil, so to speak, from the ARM compiler. We can't promise when it's going to be out, but hopefully sooner rather than later, as the fact you can compile apps is a kind of indication of where we're at. There's more to do. As David I pointed out, sometimes I know stuff and I have to be quiet about it, and sometimes I don't know stuff, and sometimes people keep things quiet from me so that I don't accidentally blurt it out.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, there's more work to do, but it is something we're working on, and it is, again, as I was mentioning, it's nice to add a platform to Delphi. We had lots of discussion whether this was the first priority compared to other options, including Linux ARM and including other things that are potential for the future. The Windows ARM has a role because Microsoft is pushing it a lot. Finally, after years, they were like not really being serious. There are still issues on the hardware on Windows ARM, to be completely honest. I mean, if they had like the same CPUs that Apple had, like everyone would switch over, but they don't. And these Snapdragons they're using are don't really. But it's true that like Snapdragon had like an exclusive with Microsoft. It's expiring. New hardware is going to come out soon. And
adverts all the time now in Texas. I don't know whether it's true anywhere else for Snapdragon processors with Windows. So clearly,
it's moving. It's moving. They're getting better. So it's an interesting alternative, and it's nice to be able to support it because, of course, while we do support multiple platforms, Windows remains what I think the last survey we had. I mean, we had a request. I mean, who is actually building application for Windows? I think the numbers were like something 98%. It's like, okay, we can say everyone. So it is important. Also, we had specific customers who were asking for a native Windows ARM solution compared to just running their Intel apps there. for different reasons and scenarios. And on top of it, Microsoft was kind of asking us, hey, should you support native Windows platform? And said, well, sure, if you're asking us, it's a good reason to do it. So we've been in touch with the company, that specific group in the company that's trying to push software towards being native ARM, and they're making some inroads. There are a number of native ARM applications today.
I used to work for a software house that was a commercial software house. They used to write software that went out to regular humans. In fact, Canon printers at one point came with a CD, had a bunch of apps on them, and I think there were 7 apps on there. I wrote 5 of them, and because of the company I worked for, I had the contract for it. But it was like a graphics browser and a font editor and a few other things as well. And that was at the time when Microsoft having their design for Windows logo. It was a big push. And some guy from Microsoft came down. It was a guy as well, and gave everybody in the office, including the receptionist, a bunch of Microsoft swag. And I was very impressed at how much effort and money they were putting into marketing. The girl on reception was like, what do I need this for? She was like not technical at all. But everybody else was like, oh my God, I've got a mouse pad and stuff like that. But when they publicize their stuff, it's impressive. They don't hold back. I remember them saying when they released, it was the old new thing, that blog by I can't remember his name now. Chen. Anyway, he was saying that when they were doing compatibility testing, they went to a software store, a bit like Best Buy would be nowadays, but it just did software. And they went along, they bought 1 copy of every piece of software the shop had. He said the shop it was like a year's trade in one day. Microsoft was going out with shopping trolleys of them, took them back. Raymond Chen, that's who the guy's name was. And they went back to Microsoft and they said, pick a piece of software, and everybody on the development team picked 1 or more pieces of software, games, office software, you name it, and tested it out to make sure it works with Windows or whatever. I don't know if it was Windows Vista or something like that. And so when they do things, they don't mess about. But life has changed a lot. I know they don't have the same testing they used to. So
yeah, the focus on Windows
program is designed to get rid of the testing team and instead let the public do it and make them feel special.
Sure. No, as a company, they have a lot of focus on AI and cloud and Azure and other things, but Windows remains important for them. And actually, one interesting thing, and trying to say in a way that I'm not giving away anything I shouldn't, but one interesting thing is that one of the reasons Microsoft approached us was asking us why a given piece of software written in Delphi is popular on macOS, and which of course is macOS ARM, and is not available for Windows ARM. So, well, we have a macOS compiler, and this is our target because, well, you cannot live on Intel on Macs anymore. But so that kind of part of the story, that Microsoft was kind of looking at all of the popular software on Mac and say, hey, can we have it on Windows ARM? Not specifically on Windows, because most of it is available on Windows. And interesting. That was a Delphi, very popular Delphi application,
which I like.
Sure.
And someone in the private messaging is just saying, "Oh, what was it? We're not telling you, Mr. Richard."
Sorry.
Yeah, it's a secret. But yeah, Richard thought he'd get the secret word, but we're not telling you. He's got a black cat now. He's putting a curse on me. Look, watch. That's how it works.
Okay. I'm not Bond. It's not a white cat. Or Bond.
Yeah, it is. It is what it is. Okay. Well, look, I'm going to do a couple of demos now and talk about some user groups and things like that. But I want to thank everybody for taking up their time. I did forewarn everybody. I had no agenda. I literally you know, for the anniversary, I like it to be a chat about the old times. A lot of what we've said, I'm sure other people have heard before, but actually not everybody. And it is popular. We've got quite a good viewer count, and people, you know, paying attention to the webinar, which is great. I'm very lucky. I count all of you as my friends. I know all of you, some of you as colleagues, and some of you as friends. I've met all of you, I think. Yeah, I met all of you in person, which is unusual in this day and age. Virtual worlds. I mean, I have plenty of people on the social media who I would say probably consider me to be a friend as well, and yet I've never actually met them in the flesh. Actually, Holger's not here anymore, but Holger and I have been. Oh, here he is. Holger and I have. If it'll turn on, there you go. Holger and I are very good friends. We talk regularly, sometimes for hours on the phone. Never met in person, have we?
No, sadly, no. It has. I just have to visit Texas sooner or later, or you have to.
We live in neighboring
go to spring break
states as well. He lives in Florida. I live in Texas. You would think we would probably be able to drive over, but yeah. I'm a techie. I don't do people anyway. But.
I mean, not that Texas and Florida are so close. I mean, like I live in Italy. Antonio lives in London, but my flight would be shorter.
Yeah. In fact, you can drive for 8 hours and not leave Texas. So that's one of those weird things about Texas. It's huge. And I read the other day, Dallas-Fort Worth has the 4th largest population or something of any city in the world. The Dallas-Fort Worth area. Dallas-Fort Worth is a city of cities, and something about the population is like the 4th largest, which is insane when you consider places like Hong Kong and things like that, which are countries that are cities. Then it's pretty crazy. But okay, all right. Well, thanks a lot, everybody, for joining. And I hope you're aboard. Yes, I will give you the Vulcan salute as well, of course, because Spock is always friendly with me. You can tell the real nerds because they do it. So. The others go like this.
Thanks
People try and do this, you know. All right.
Okay. See you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, so now I have to turn everybody's cameras off, which is a lot harder when there's a bunch of you. I can do it. Let me turn you all off. I think there you go, Richard. You're the only one left, but bye. Oh, why won't the switch turn on? There you go. Yeah, you've gone. Okay. All right. Well, look. I wanted to do a couple of things. First of all, we're not finished yet. We've got some other stuff going on. I wanted to talk. I've done a few talks at user groups last year, and I can gauge the success of them based on what people are interested in. One thing I want to do is show you a project that I've got, because I think it's kind of interesting to remind people why, where we've come from in terms of what you can do with Delphi. So I'm going to try and let me see if I can pull it up. Screen share. There it is. So I'm going to share my screen. And you can see this is Rad Studio. This is Rad Studio 13. So this is 13.0. And I've got a lot of projects. But I think the one that's going to be most interesting is this one. Okay. So what I want to do is, first of all, pull this project up. And before I go into it, I'm going to show you a product called Canva. Okay. For those of you who don't know, it's a design package. It allows you to design things like wireframes and graphics. You can do all sorts of things, adverts and Instagram, blogs, and you name it, you can do it. And Canva's very popular. There is a free version. I've got the paid version. And with the paid version, it allows me to do things like use these templates. Now, what I want you to do is just pay attention to what this is. This is a dashboard app. It's deliberately, it's pretty, shall we say, and it's deliberately sort of laid out. It's flat. It doesn't do anything. Now, with Canva, you can make them interactive and do stuff, but this particular template doesn't. So there's the template, and you'll notice here that there is a Delphi app open. Now, at the moment, this is a VCL app. And if I just run this for a second, and off it goes, here is your VCL app. Now, I'll just remind you, there's the Canva app, okay? And there is our VCL representation of it, okay? And someone's saying about Rad Studio IDE still being a VCL project. Yes. Now, you'll see it probably doesn't show up very well on the web streaming because of the way it works. But if I click on this, you can see that this toolbar here is active. It does do things. I've not made it actually change any pages or anything like that because, you know, I've got a life and I've got other things to do. But you can see that, you know, the nice graduated fill and all the rest of it works. There's a graph. It's not a very pretty one, but it is kind of in line with the Canva design. Okay, there's a bit more swish. I could have used skier to do that, and you'll notice that their representation of people down there. Mine is different because they've used male and female, and I wanted mine to be a little bit more generic like that. So I called it new clients and old existing clients. So I didn't want to have it so that it would show male or female, less gendered, if you see what I mean. Not for any kind of liberal reasons, but just because, you know, new clients it could be male or female. So they are non-specific human representations. But I do have a routine that would draw male and female as well. There's a graph. There's all of the things that you would expect. Hopefully it shows up on camera that I actually did some more beyond this. So this is all white and all flat. It's got a nice color scheme on there. But in my VCL one, you can probably just about see it on the stream. But there is a graduated fill behind there. I did that deliberately so that it looks pretty. Okay. You can see it's me, and these all work. So if I click on details, it says, oh, you clicked on details. There's a drop down. It is an application that works. And, you know, you need to do an awful lot more work to make it useful, but at least you can see what it does. Now, that's the VCL app. What happens when I do this? Well, now I've swapped over to a thing I've called Clean Dash Server. If I run it, if I hit F9, what will happen? Oh, come on. Hang on a minute. Just 1 second. My streaming software is interfering. Let me just do that again. Close that off and do that. So there is a Windows terminal window, so a DOS window, I suppose you'd call it if you're old-fashioned, but it's basically running a web broker app, okay? And it's writing out to the command line, and then there's various commands that you can run. Now, if I just go into my web browser for a second and pull it up and move it over. This is my web browser. And now you can see that what we've got here is exactly the same as the VCL app. So there's your Canva design. There's a Web Stencils app. And you can see in the top here, it says 127 point, well, actually, I think my thing's in the way there, but 127.0.0.8080, but it's running in the web broker command line app there. So it's being served up. Now I can change the port and I can do all sorts of other things as well. Kudos to my colleague Antonio, who was on earlier on, but a lot of this prettiness in the command line, he came up with that, and I've then just shamelessly stolen it and done my own version. But he comes up with these ideas because he's a smart guy. But as you can see, the web app is slightly different because I've got this routing to actual pages. So if you see down at the bottom of the screen there, as I go along, it's actually going to a route, which is the page that gets fired for the Web Stencils app. So this is a Web Stencils app, exactly the same grad fill behind there, exactly the same graph, and I'll talk about that in a moment, exactly the same graph, and this is done using some HTML trickery in the background. Now, great, okay. Just to prove that it is actually the real thing, if I type in exit here, it will close the terminal and goes back to that. So what have I got? Well, there's my VCL project, and this is a project group. My VCL project and my web broker app. Okay, and in my web broker app, I've got a module here that looks like this. It's got a web stencils engine on it and a file dispatcher. If I close this down, so I'll make that unappear for a second. It really is just a straightforward web broker app, nothing particularly complicated. But you can see that I'm pulling in some values dynamically, and I'll talk about that in a moment. And on the VCL app, if I go into there, this is what the VCL app looks like. I've got a very similar thing. So I create the form, and I set up the charts, and by setting up the charts, it goes and gets a stats chart and all the rest of it. The reason it's doing that is the actual charts that get displayed are called from a function that loads it into a T image. Okay, so I've got a routine that's a get stats chart, and then it creates a T chart data provider, which is a routine I've written, which is here. And then you've got two types of data that it can return. So it's demo data. And then once I've done that, it gets the data for the line chart. And then I've got a thing called a graph producer, which is this routine here. Okay, and that's just a class. And all that does is it will produce a couple of types of chart. Okay, it's got some classes to store the visuals, and I can get the bestseller graph. Okay, and I add some series from the data that I've done. So the bestseller graph is this one here. Okay, and the other type of graph I've called a people chart. Okay, which is this one here, and it's this part of the design there. So why do we care about that? Well, the reason we care about that is the fact that if I go back to the project manager and just pin it again so that we can see it, you'll see that they've got a lot of shared code between them. And in fact, the image handler and things like the line graph units here, that one there and that one there, and the graph types module, and even the graph producer are all completely shared. The reason being, in the back end, it's all Delphi stuff, but in the front end, it's pure web stencils. And when I say pure web stencils, if I go over to here, and let me just, this is Ultra Edit I've got open. Let me just go to this one and say Show an Explorer. And then I will go to the HTML. I'll pull this over here so you can see it. And I've got some partials. This is all web stencil stuff. And the actual dashboard for web stencils itself, which will open, looks like that. That is your web stencils page, because the rest of it's all being pulled in. This is the power of web stencils. It's mind-blowing, really, what it can do. You can break it down into little modules. So these are kind of like objects, I suppose, is one way of looking at it. But another way of looking at it would be components. So my navigation bar for my web page, which, as you recall, looks like this. My navigation bar here is one component. This part is another component. This part is another component. This part is another component. Okay. All of this is done through web stencils. if I go back into the directory and pick up the partials and pick up the bit that says bestseller, for example, and say open with Ultra Edit. That's it. It's pulled in like a component, and it is showing the title based on a property inside my app, inside my Delphi app itself, and it's looping through for each visual set, because it's a dynamic graph. Each visual set is going through and putting up a thing called bestseller visuals, and then dynamically setting things like the color of the background. And the same with the people graph. It is going through, and those people graphs that appear, the little colors of the people, they're all dynamically loaded in as well. So I'm just going to go in to show you. So all of these, the title of it, the visuals, the background color of the people, what the percentage is, all of this is all dynamic, completely dynamic, and all of it is controlled inside your Delphi program, and all of that is drawn from the same thing that creates the VCL app. It's amazing. And so MacGyver says, so is the graph just a static image in the web version? No, it is actually dynamic, except it is an image that's been pulled across. So in a way, you're kind of right. But what happens in the module is, let me come up with what the module is. Which one was it? This one. In the module, I'm just going to make that go away again. The people chart is generated, it's sent back as a web response to the web page, and it's generated by this routine, which basically creates a dynamic JPEG image on the fly. It is not an interactive image, but it could be. So it could be some other, JavaScript driven thing or something like that. You could use HTMX or something like that to make it interactive. But this is all being generated on the fly. This is, imagine this was your data set that you're pulling this data in from or something like that. It would generate all of that information for you dynamically. So is it a fixed image? Yes. But is it a fixed image? No. So when the response comes back from when the web broker says, oh, okay, I've got a response I need to respond to, before it dispatches, it calls this and it says, right, is the thing you're asking for a profile picture? Then I'll return a static image for the profile picture. If the image that I'm looking for is a bestseller image, replace that placeholder with the bestseller graph, which is this dynamically created bestseller graph. If the image that is being requested is the statistics chart, then go through and generate the statistics. So is it dynamic? No. Is it a blob with a URL? No, it is a web response. And in the actual web page itself, what you're seeing is a request where you're saying, oh, I want to display these properties here. If you need to understand how all of this works, there are lots of webinars about it. Antonio's got a few of those, but you can see that my request page itself is just asking for the people chart.jpg. That's then translated through some routing in the background. There are better ways of doing this. You could have a variable in here and then process that variable, or you could even have an object and return an object. I did it this way just because it was easier for people who understand HTML to look at the HTML and go, oh, so he's asking for this JPEG. The alternative is called a people chart. The class is a fluid image, so that means that it resizes because it's using Bootstrap in the background. The max height is 100% of the parent, and the fit for it is it's contained, so it fits it into the page dynamically. So if I go back and show you that web page again, this is dynamic. This is dynamic. I don't know if it will repaint. Yeah, it will repaint. When I resize the page, it dynamically repaints because of Bootstrap. Because at this point, this is an image. Now, if I went in here and said, "Oh, amount descending," what it would do, I haven't linked any code up. Well, what it would do is redo that graph based on that property. So the framework's there to actually make it, dynamic and be a true app. Patrick says Web Stencils demos have been updated. Go to the blogs and try Web Stencils live. Our new public demos here. Yes. Good point. The demos are updated. But the point I was trying to really make is not so much about Web Stencils, but about the fact that, first of all, this is just regular HTML code. You could give this to a web developer, if they're only watching now, and they'll totally understand what this all is. It's templating. If you're a web developer, if you know what moustache templates are, it works like that. It's a bit like razor templates, that kind of stuff. Oh, this is a S-bomb. This is something different for a different webinar. But that is the structure of the main page. So bring in the header, the nav bar component, bring in the header, bring in the bestseller graph, bring in the client analysis, bring in the earnings. All dynamic, all done there. When we go into the project, as I said before, if I just pull up the actual project manager, exactly the same thing. Now, if I run this and put it up, there is the VCL app using exactly the same code for the graphs in the background. So if I change something in that graph, if I change this to be, I don't know, people without a head, then both the web page and this would both reflect that because they're both drawing from the same Delphi code. So that's just one of the demos I wanted to show, just to give you an idea. And by the way, as you can see, some other trickery that uses in the VCL is the custom title bar. So this is not a theme. This is using a custom title bar. And if we go into the main form and press F12, you can see here's the custom title bar up there. And if I click on it here and then press F11, you can see all the little bits and bobs, and in the structure down here you can see what's going on. So that was just what I wanted to show you as a kind of example of stuff that you can do with modern Delphi compared to stuff you couldn't do with Delphi 1. There is several other things that I've done where I've taken Canva apps and converted them. This one is called Bloom Medical. And what this is a mobile app. And if I just run it, it should, oh, actually that's going to go on. My Mac is not turned on. I'm just going to cancel that for a second. Hello. Yes, I know I've got my Mac plugged in doing something else. But if I go to here, I think this will run. I haven't tried it actually. I don't know where my app went. Oh, yeah, it's that's not going to work. Okay, well, I can't demo that one. That's a shame. Well, go away. Yeah. Again, this is a Canva app. There's a few others as well. I've got another one that I did where if I pull that one up, just to show some of the weird stuff that you can do with Delphi, which I may or may not have shown in other webinars, is something like this. So it won't show up very well on the streaming, but this is a VCL app. A FireMonkey app. You can just about see that on the streaming because of the resolution that comes down, but these are using transparent panels. If I do this, you'll see it drop up and drop down, and when it drops down again, it does this animation. This is a T-chart. Okay, so you get this free with most versions of Delphi. It's a T-chart, and is it dynamic? Yes. I mean, I can select this and drill down on it and things like that. But I just wanted to show that, you don't have to stick with convention. If you want to do something really weird, it will do things like if you try and get it off screen, close it and then reopen it, it'll actually dynamically reposition itself as well. But there's tons and tons of these. That's really what Delphi is all about, is doing that kind of stuff. So that's that. Now, the other thing I wanted to do was talk about our users and the various user groups, because you get people say things like, well, Delphi's all good and all the rest of it, but are there any user groups? Are there any conferences? If you go on our website at the moment, and I just need to minimize this. Let me just pull this over here and do this. If you go onto our website at the moment, you will, if you scan that QR code, you will go to the timeline of it. But I believe that there is also a blog post that's up, which has got a list of all the events that are happening this year. Let me just get my colleague to send the link over. But all of the possible events, and there are over 1,000, I believe. Where is it? Hang on. I know it's you that was doing it. Here we go. Innovation timeline. Okay, no, he hasn't got it up. So I thought he said he was going to have a different page up, but he hasn't. Okay. Let me edit that link because he's got a blog post, and I'm sure he will update the blog post with the mention in there of the new stuff. This will go to the blog, but really it's about what events there are. There are over 850, I think nearly 1,000 events, because they keep getting added all the time. And I don't know why this says Embarcadero confidential at the bottom, because this isn't confidential. So it's a bit of a mistake on my behalf, but there you go. And I wanted to just sort of take you through some of the things that have gone on around the world. People say, well, how many people use Rad Studio and how many users are there and all the rest of it. These are photographs from various events around the world for Delphi. The Brazilians, for example, when they present their events, they do something quite weird. They are, I mean, good in a way, but they have 6 screens, and everybody has a headset, and you can tune into which screen you like. And in this case, there's 6 different presenters simultaneously. For someone like me, because they want me to go and hear what I have to say for some random reason, they actually have simultaneous translation, so everybody's got their headsets on if they don't speak English. And when I talk, there's a guy translating in their ear, translating into Brazilian Portuguese. So it's a really quite incredible event. If you can see there how many people at that event, there are hundreds and hundreds. I think there's over 700 people turn up the event, nearly 800 people. It's probably one of the biggest that they have. This was a photograph I took when I was there one year, not last year, but the year before, because I got turned away at the airport. But you can see a ton of people at these events. Also been off to places like Germany. This was before everybody turned up. And this is my view from the stage. And usually I can't see the audience because people put a lot of bright lights in my face and I can't see a thing. But that's the view that we've got when I think we were launching Red Studio. This was in another location. This was a Free Pascal event, which was hosted by Sorpenthaler. They're a German company and manufacture windows almost everywhere, I think, in Germany. And this is a different event. This is in Germany as well. Frank Lau at the front there, pulling faces and going, hey, he's doing a Fonz look, I suppose. But a whole bunch of people there. I see Harry Starr and a few others. This, again, is a Sorpenthaler event. And you can see me and making people laugh because that's what you do. It's great stuff. What else have we got? These are Germans, I think, and breakout rooms in the various events. This is in Florence, Italy, and we also had some events in Portugal and a few other countries as well. It's a pretty awesome thing that goes on. So when people say, well, what's going on with around the world, a lot, and I get people asking me, and this is kind of one of the most popular talks that I do. People saying, "Well, what is it that you do exactly?" Because I know, like, you're talking on webinars and things like that. Well, what is it that you do? Well, let me just explain exactly what I do when you're not seeing me on camera, because I am a developer, and I've been a developer for a long time, over 40 years. And really, my job is to kind of spread the love and talk about what the product does and explain the benefits of it and why you would want it. Most of you are familiar with me doing this kind of stuff. So you probably see me on the screen, putting weird faces, pointing at samurai swords and other things as well. This is my old house. My new house is the one with the it's an apartment in Frisco, opposite the Dallas Cowboys, America's team, as they call them. The Dallas Cowboys training stadium and headquarters is opposite where I live. It's kind of cool place. But most people see me doing things like this. What you don't see is that I live in Texas, and Texas is not a desert. This is in spring last year, but this is actually one of the roads near me, not far from where I live. That's not actually my car, unfortunately. My car's usually parked inside because we have some crazy things going on with hailstorms. And this is the area where I walk my dog and all those kind of things. So when you feel sorry for me that I'm sitting there and coding every single day, this was taken in the spring, I think. And it's a kind of nice area. It's very it's not the dust bowl that you think it is. It's full of flowers, and there's a sweet potato vine there and a few other things as well. We also, yes, it is hot. It's one of the hottest places in the world, not the hottest, but one of the hottest places in the world in the summer. And so we do grow cacti. So this is agave cactus, which, you get a lot of agave gel for stopping you getting sunburns. What used to happen in the day was people, if they got sunburnt, they would take one of these leaves. These are small. These things grow to like 8 feet high. They would break the leaf off, split it down the middle, and the gel that's inside is a perfect cure for sunburn. So it's pretty good stuff. I live opposite a building that's kind of got some links to computer history. Those of you that aren't old enough might not know, but the name Altair is Altair there is one of the very first personal computers, the Altair 8800. Now, those offices, weirdly enough, are no longer computer related. Those people make spectacles, like glasses, for people that can't see. But this is, Texas. This is what is there. There's the T-Mobile headquarters there and a few other things as well. There's a thing called the $1 Billion Mile where, Oracle headquarters are and a few other things as well. And yes, the Dallas Cowboys. I actually can look down the end of my road and there is their headquarters. So it's kind of cool. And most people are more familiar with the idea of the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders, which we won't pause on. But they're very famous worldwide as well, bring a lot of stuff in. And yes, we do have weird stuff going on as well in Texas. This is a gecko. They're very small. This one's about 1.5 inches long, or about 3 centimeters, maybe something like that, 3.5. And you look up and they're quite often in the roofs, in porches and things like that. So it's kind of weird. And so when I'm coding, I'm not doing that. But also sometimes when I'm trying to do presentations to webinars, we will get a warning like this that says, by the way, there is a tornado coming with DVD-sized hail. Now, I don't care what country you live in. DVD-sized hail is terrifying for anybody, which is why I don't park my car outside. I am actually a registered weather spotter. I've been trained to recognize and report tornadoes. So, I do take them very seriously. I'm not scared of them. The chances of being hit by a tornado are actually quite low, but in Texas, they're not zero. So always pay attention. But yes, DVD-sized hail is pretty outrageous. And when you're trying to get hold of me, this is my mailbox. This one I did a filter just to make sure that I was only looking for one particular type of email. and didn't show any private information. But 1 to 50 of many. That's so how our G Suite categorizes my emails. And I can't show the dates and times there, but that was actually an email list for one day just for that topic. So I get a lot of email, but I do respond to all of them. And that's part of my commitment. However, when you try to get hold of someone like Marco or me or Antonio or someone like that, you might complain and say, well, why can't we, why can't we have a meeting this afternoon? Or why, I want to talk to them on Thursday or something like that. Well, the reason is that our calendar can be quite full. And this is actually a genuine version of the calendar. I made sure there wasn't anything confidential on there. This was from April last year, when we were busy doing some stuff. It wasn't a particularly busy time of year, but this is very typical for trying to organize a meeting with a group of people who are at, fairly senior level in the company. And that's what it's like. Trying to find a free slot for a meeting is a little bit difficult because there's a lot going on. What else goes on? Well, you're used to seeing me doing this kind of thing. That's an acoustic shield. So when I'm talking to you on the microphone, you don't get room noise and things like that. And I use noise cancellation so you don't hear me banging on the keyboard. And, I have a bright light shining in my eyes, which is why sometimes I look weird because I'm squinting at the screen. And likewise, when I'm presenting webinars like this was the launch webinar for Rad Studio 12.3, that I'm usually the one that's driving all the bits behind the scenes and making things happen. So even if you don't see me on screen, I'm quite often doing this kind of nonsense in the background as well. It's all about getting the word out about Rad Studio and Delphi and explaining to people what is and isn't happening. And you can see, if you look very carefully there, you'll see Marco Cantu's on there and Nuno and a few others as well. David was working for us at the time this was released. But yeah, it's a busy old time, really. We will have slide decks, and the slide decks are prepared by a group of us. But this is what we usually have. So when we're presenting, we can see all this as well. There's nothing confidential in there. We hand these kind of slide decks out. But I've got a number of these going back to various versions. And, once these are done, they're then translated into multiple languages. The reason is that Rad Studio is used in many countries. I'm not sure how many. I think it's 20 plus. I know it's translated very frequently to Spanish, German, French, Brazilian Portuguese, Portuguese, and a few others as well. I'm not Korean and Japanese. Yeah, so those are the ones I know about for certain that our slides get translated into. I don't do that, and neither do the rest of the team. We have people that are specialists in that. Quite often it'll be a dedicated person who is obviously native to that country. So a Japanese person who understands English well enough will translate this into Japanese. But the slides you see, if you're used to seeing the English version, it goes out to all sorts of countries around the world. A lot goes on, and when people say, why can't you do releases more often? The reason is there's all this stuff going on in the background, and it takes a lot of time. A slide deck there for Rad Studio 13 probably had something like 40 slides, and getting those translated into at least 10 languages is a significant effort. It's not insignificant. If we did that monthly, for example, it would be a nightmare. To be fair, on the flip side, if we did monthly releases, then we would have less to talk about, a few things to talk about. So our slide deck would probably be a lot easier if indeed we had one. But there's a lot of stuff that happens to make a release happen. And also you'll see there on the YouTube channel, you'll see that it says you're a manager. That's me logged in, and it's telling me that I'm a manager. Yes, our YouTube channel, due to the role that I have, I don't do this on my own. Producer Martha is one of the other managers, and a few others behind the scenes as well, whose names I've mentioned in the past. We manage the content. So what you see go on there, the statistics, the analytics, the uploading and downloading of the The video content is managed by my team, myself. My team, I mean, I'm a member of the team rather than in charge of it. I don't tend to want to be in charge of anything. My job is to be in charge of me. I'm kind of a team of myself, but I work with all the others very closely, and I'm part of multiple teams and actually multiple brands. You'll see me turn up for Yellowfin, Whole Tomato, Ultra Edit, and a few other brands from time to time, because Idea are our parent company, and I work for Idea as much as anything else. So yeah, I'm a manager, and also we produce a lot of content. This is just a recent snapshot of just some of the video content we've done. Last year, I think I probably did over 100 videos. I did the 30 for 30 series. Someone laughingly said, well, if you're doing 30 for 30 years, are you going to do 2026 videos for 2026? I'm like, absolutely, I'm not going to do that. I nearly died doing 30 for 30, but there's more webinars coming along. And, you know, I also deal with GitHub stuff as well. I'm not the only one, but I do contribute towards our GitHub repositories. And also, I am one of the owners of that as well. So you'll see my name turn up in relation to that as well. Again, I'm not the only one. There's several others on the product management team, for example, and they also do this as well. They own these, but some of the projects I specifically manage those. So yes, I do developer relations, but I do some other weird stuff as well, and Python stuff. I actually get involved in that as well. I don't do the Python development myself, but the people that do interact with me, and then I make sure that things like the PyPy stuff goes out correctly to the Pi wheels or whatever they call them as well. And likewise, you'll see me turn up at various events around the world. I've shown these before. I think this is probably a repeat of some screens I've just shown, but lots of friendly, happy people. Majority of users I meet are actually okay. I've had a few people that can be a bit weird, but 99.9%, the overwhelming majority are positive and please do talk to us. I think my attitude is to try and be as genuine as possible, present the product in the best way I can do, and mention the benefits. And when people tell me something doesn't work about the product, I make sure that the right people hear about it. Because of my involvement in the teams that I'm in, if you tell me something by email, if you complain, I will make sure the right people will be understanding what's going on. That's a fact, okay? You are not a voice in the wilderness. It's no point in going onto Facebook and moaning about it. Nothing will happen. Someone on Reddit the other day, I offered them, I said, email me, I'll fix this. And no, they just want to complain, and they basically ignored the fact that I'd said, I will fix your problem, and they just want to complain. Well, if you don't want it fixed, then why complain? And the answer is they just want to complain, don't they? But, as you can see, lots of pleased, smiling faces. And this is the Delphi Summit in Amsterdam. This was last year. GDK, they're not running one this year in Amsterdam, which is a shame, but I understand why. They're busy doing other things. There's some suggestion that a few other people are coming, but that is a beautiful event. The arena that they do it in is a video games arena, and it's a lot of good fun. And when I go off and do it, another cool part of my job is that I get to bump into people around the world. Some people I only see at events, even though I work with them quite closely. Those people there is Fernando, Aldo, and myself. I am regularly in meetings with Fernando at least once a week, and sometimes multiple times a week. Aldo I interact with very frequently, but I know them well enough. I've met them several times, but only at events. It's hilarious, really, but these people I get on well with. But you only get the chance to meet them at events. But that is typical of why you go to a user group. You will meet people who you cannot possibly meet anywhere else, and it's a time for everybody to socialize, but also talk to people like me. And if you've got a problem, if there's something you're not happy with, tell us. Come up to me. Be nice. I'm a human being. But tell me how you think, and I'll sit down with you. I will spend time with you. You don't need to create special appointments. You don't, I'm nothing special. I'm a developer like you. I'm just a regular person. sit down with me and talk about our favorite products and tell me what you like, what you don't like, and where you'd like things to be. And sometimes I do things and I don't realize the effect I've had on people. But this one here, this is translated from the original Brazilian Portuguese, but this is a young guy who works in one of the Brazilian offices, or he did at the time. I don't know if he still does, but I think he does. And he's like, I had the opportunity to network with brilliant professionals, etc., etc. And he said, thanks for the opportunity to meet you. And he said my conversation was inspiring and enriching. I get it, it's a social media post, but it's nice when people say stuff like that you feel like you've actually made a difference, because that's what I'm here for. I am here to explain the benefits of the product. I'm employed, I am paid to talk about the product, but I'm not a hypocrite. I couldn't do it if I thought it was a load of poop, to be nice. I'm not that kind of guy. I'm sufficiently experienced enough. I can get a development job most places, or development manager or something like that. I choose to be at Embarcadero because I believe in what we do. And some of our fans are very fanatical. I pointed this out earlier on, but I don't expect people to get tattoos. But boy, it's pretty amazing when someone actually goes off and gets a tattoo of the Delphi helmet. That's I don't know anybody. I don't know anybody with a Microsoft tattoo. I'm sure there are, but that's pretty wild, isn't it? And I get to see lots of cities. This is Sao Paulo, and it's very beautiful there. And I, get to sit and have breakfast before the rush starts, before I'm up on a screen and, talking to a bunch of people. I'm sitting there by some palm trees, having a great time. It does sometimes mean that you go to a hotel room and you get a weird letter and you're like, oh my God, why has this person left me a love letter? Because I was confused because I didn't understand what it said because it's in Portuguese, Brazilian Portuguese. And I'm like, oh my God, is she like proposing to me? Actually, all it was really saying was, we're very dedicated to serving you. Your room was cared for with love. Good afternoon. And I used my Android phone to translate it, but for one moment I'm like, oh my God, who's left a weird note in my room? Yeah, so you have to be a little bit open to how the world works if it's not something you're used to. But you also get to do things like go and see self-portraits in Amsterdam by Van Gogh. And, that is pretty remarkable to go and be 5 inches away from a self-portrait by Van Gogh. And, I consider myself to have a very good job indeed. It makes up for the, 20 hours of flying and sitting in airports that I did to get there. Even as a European, I'm, in Texas, so it's a long flight to get over there. And 2 changes of airport means that you're stuck in the airport for a long time. But first of all, I get to meet a bunch of really good people who are Delphi fans. But also I get to do things like go to the Van Gogh Museum and see a self-portrait by a man who's one of the great artists of the world. And not only that, but I've done that in other countries, like Florence, for example, seen stuff from Michelangelo and stuff like that. It's absolutely amazing. And to go to Denmark and visit Denmark and see all of the wonderful things in Denmark. I've got a whole bunch of slides that I could show you for that, but Denmark's user group meeting is really something to behold, honestly. But because it's like 5-star catering, and I did archery with an Olympic archer. I'm not kidding you. He's a Delphi guy, and he showed me his gold medals. It's pretty impressive. But Daypug at the Hotel Castellet was a really great event, and all I'm really sort of building up to here is to say thank you to all the people that watch and take part and listen to me talking nonsense for hours on end. And we do, we do appreciate you like you have no idea. We're very, very pleased that you are our customers, but also our friends and our colleagues, you know, because that's what we consider you to be. So from us, thank you very much for that. Someone's saying an English-speaking person who can say "goch" correctly. Yes, that's because I had it drummed into me when I was over there. Goch, goch. It is. I was told it's more like, but I still can't say Marco G's last name, and I've tried. I just give up. Boyan's there. Hi, Boyan. Unfortunately, I was going to get Boyan on, but I don't think I'll be able to do that. I'm sorry, Boyan. I'm going to do a webinar with Boyan soon. Boyan Mitov from Mitov Software. We're going to do a webinar together, aren't we? And talk about internet connected things and stuff like that, because it's been a while since we've done one, and I like gadgets and stuff like that. Mohammed says, okay. This says around Morocco, from Morocco. I'd like to say hello to everybody, salute everybody who is a Delphi person. Thank you, Mohammed. I appreciate that. And Kate Godgani, who is a really popular Delphi developer, has got a really great app. Thank you. I'm glad you're there as well. Hello-e. I know it's a typo, but kind of cool that you said that. I think that's it from me. We did really cover quite a lot. I'm very grateful to my guests for coming along. Boyan says, hello, everyone. Hello, Boyan. How are you doing? Well, I hope. I'm just seeing if on my screen's turned off now. We will do a webinar, like I say, with Boyan. And here we go. Patrick is saying Delphiist or Delphi Nord for Delphi developers in French. See, I've trained the world to say Delphi now instead of Delphi because it's with letters at the wrong place. Oh, okay, yeah, And Philippe says, it's really nice talking to you on the Embarcadero conference here in Brazil. I do still work. Oh, he does. I wasn't sure because you're young, you see. I wondered if you had gone off for exciting jobs. This is the guy who was saying, hey, it was an inspiration. Oh, Philippe. Oh, I'm really glad. He was a nice guy. I was really impressed with him. He was kind of young, and he said, I'm new to the company and I'm learning. And I sat down and had a little chat with him. To be fair, it wasn't a restaurant, one of my favorite places to be. But he was talking to me about his enthusiasm for it and how he was kind of nervous and all the rest of it. And all I could say is, I never regret being a software developer. I think that Delphi is a good choice for people. There are other languages that are more popular, more sexy, so to speak, attract more attention. Bigger budgets and things like that as well, but I talked to him through it and said, you're gonna. Milan is saying, will you share your Clean Dash project? Yes, I will. It needs a bit of tidying up because I've been working on it literally till this morning. But yes, I will. I will make sure that's. And by the way, if people don't know who this is, I'm assuming it's the same guy I know. This is one of the developers of Inno Setup. So this is a guy who is another one who sneaks under the radar. You think nothing of him, but he's actually one of the maintainers of one of the best setup programs are out there. Never mind that it's written in Delphi, which it is, but also that it's a very creditable, good quality setup program. And earlier on, late last year, both him and Jordan became tech partners and MVPs, and I was very glad that they agreed to do that. It's one of my fun parts of my job is creating MVPs and tech partners. Yes, he says, yes, it is him. I thought it was. Yeah, I guess. To be fair, it's not exactly the most common name I've come across. So, and Boyan, who knows a thing or two about this, says Inno Setup is the best. Yes, it's an amazing project. And Kate Cogani also says he loves Inno Setup. There you go. Martin. I think you've got a few fans. I told them at the time when I because they were kind of a bit, should we be MVP? Should we be tech partners? I had to explain what the conditions are. There aren't any conditions. Just keep doing what you're doing. And I said, look, your project is amazing, and I think you deserve recognition. And we try to help encourage certain open source projects by helping them out with licenses and things like that. And I will do that for the right projects as well. Gaza T says, thanks, Ian. Great evening. Enjoyed the banter and looking forward to the next 31 years of Delphi. Yeah, I'm not getting any younger, so I don't know whether I'll be here for the 62nd anniversary of Delphi. If I am, I'm going to be very, very old. But it's theoretically possible. I'm not that old that I couldn't theoretically make it. And he says we're gonna release an Inno Setup 7 preview soon, available in full 64-bit. Woo! Awesome stuff. It's a great project, and like I said, I mean, like Felipe here. I love the community that we have here. This webinar today, I've already clicked on that one. This webinar today, it's always a weird one because we try not to be a product sales demo type thing. It's more a case of nostalgia and chat and all the rest of it. For the last 3 hours and 7 minutes, I'm sure plenty of people will watch the replay and skip through the boring bits. That's fine, I get it. But hopefully you found it interesting. I'm going to stop for now because I'm sure you've heard enough. But we will be doing some more webinars. We've got the next one I've got coming up is, I believe, let me just find out when it is. I think it's Tuesday, February the 24th with GDK is the next one. And actually, no, I think there's one before that. Sorry, let me just pull my calendar up because I want to make sure I'm not talking out of turn. So today is that one, and then we've got another one. Yes, my mistake. So we've got a webinar on the 24th with GDK, which you've got to watch. It's a very interesting subject. We'll start promoting it this week, so you'll hear about what the topic is. Then I have one on the Thursday, which is with Datadoo and Exasol and Yellowfin, all to do with data security and the rest of it. And then the following week on March the 6th, already in March the 6th at the normal time of 12 noon will be a security-focused webinar. We're going to deep dive into SCA, software composition analysis, S-bombs, and all the rest of it. Melvin says he missed the party. Don't worry, it's go on YouTube and you can watch it all again. You'll be able to see it as well. I missed the party, he says. Yeah, well, nostalgic are days of homogeneous environment of Wintel where fast code was thriving. Now, who recalls fast code? Yeah, well, also load high. If anybody, you could always date someone by saying, do you remember like high memsys and load high? And if they give you a blank look, they're not as old as you thought they were. They're younger. It's a good time. Someone's saying it's good to chat with the community. Yes, exactly, indeed. And we appreciate it. That's why we do these birthday webinars, to try and reach out to the community and have something that's a bit different. Some bits I'm sure are very boring and some bits are quite interesting, but either way, it's about you people that are watching right now, and I appreciate it. We've updated the timeline, and we've also on the blog, if you go to the blog, we have also got a new events calendar. I did ask my colleague for the URL for the event calendar. Oh, apparently it's coming up as #1 on Google anyway, or something. Is it? I'm just going to ask him. Just asking him where the event calendar is. But that event calendar is something you can download. I think it's printable. I think there might be a spreadsheet version as well. I'm not sure, but I to be honest, I didn't really pay attention to the meeting where it was described, and I should have really listened a bit more. But it's a lot of effort, and my colleague has worked very hard on it. And you go to the blog. If you're unsure about what we're up to, blogs.embarcadero.com, and actually that timeline thing will go straight there. We put it up on the blog. If you're watching on YouTube or LinkedIn, and I think it works on Meta as well. If you're watching on YouTube, click on the subscribe button. I don't care about likes. If you click on like, great. It helps, I think, with some algorithm somewhere, but that's not what we're here for. I'm not an influencer. I don't get paid, I don't get a plaque from YouTube saying, oh, you've got so many views. That doesn't work. We don't monetize our channel. We deliberately don't monetize it. We're a commercial organization. Why would we? But if you click on subscribe, what will happen is if you miss the timing or you blocked out our emails, which some people unsubscribe, or the email goes to spam, or the landing page is blocked. We've heard that you block Origin, one of the web blockers. You need to click on allow for lp.embarcadero.com because apparently it blocks it by default. And we're not gathering anything at that point. Until you click on the thing that says, yes, keep my details, we're not gathering your information. So I don't know why it blocks it. It's just super paranoid, okay? But if you've got uBlock Origin, unblock it, and you'll find that the problem will go away, and you'll be able to subscribe for it. But if not, go onto YouTube, click on subscribe, and do that. I look like some kind of, YouTube denizen now, but it's the little bell alert that you want to click on there and then and say all. Then when I go live, it'll notify you automatically on your phone and on your desktop or whatever. We won't know who you are. I won't know. I won't be able to spam you. I won't be able to send you any emails. I won't be able to sell your details to, some shady dealer or something like that. You won't get any phone calls from us. All you'll get is an alert from YouTube, and they manage that interaction. I think that's great. But the benefit to us is that it means that when we're talking about new versions of the product, or we're talking about something that's wrong, or addressing how to do some functionality, you'll get an alert and it'll tell you. So, who doesn't like being told about new stuff? Boyan says, if you monetize, it might help promoting the channel, as YouTube seems to push monetized channels. Yes, that's actually a fact, but we don't want to do it. And the reason we don't want to do it is we would rather the information get out there and we have to work hard for it than get it monetized and then people are getting pushed ads every 5 minutes or whatever. I actually pay for YouTube Premium or whatever it's called, so I never see any adverts anyway on my YouTube. But I know that's not, I'm in the minority there, but I prefer not to have adverts on YouTube. If you're watching some documentary or something, or some tutorial and an ad comes up halfway, it's a pain in the neck. Okay. All right. Well, thanks a lot, everyone. And I apologize to anybody I've missed. Boyan, I will make up for it. You will be on a webinar shortly, and we'll be doing some stuff. But in the meantime, thanks to everybody that stuck it out till the end. And I hope that you look forward to the next version of Delphi. We did a sneak preview earlier on. If you didn't see it, you need to go back and watch the video again, because we showed an ARM compiler for Rad Studio compiling Delphi code. That's what Marco demonstrated. So come along and you'll see it next time. Everybody giving me the Vulcan signs now. Yes, and that really is, this is my genuine apartment. This is what I live like. I am that weird. I love Star Trek. I think the sentiments behind the original version of Star Trek are great. I would like to have my my Star Trek cool lamp turned on, but it doesn't work very well on camera, so I have to have it turned off. But usually it's bright and up, and it's a diagram of the Star Trek 1701D. If you know what that is, you'll understand. Cape Cod says thanks a lot. Thomas, hello Thomas. I know you. He says thank you as well. Patrick says have a good week. You too, my friend. Salut. And Knut, who is a frequent flyer, is always there. It says bye. Thanks a lot, Knut, and thanks for your emails as well. And JP it says chat soon, of course. Who else we got? DVD Mingada. I don't know what that means, but thanks, Ian. It's very, very good. Oh, David. Yes, of course, that's what it stands for. Yeah, and live long and prosper to you all. All right, thanks a lot, everyone. Speak to you soon. Bye-bye.